Yo, we back with another episode of Press Box. What's good? We here.
What's good?
Dev, Random. What's good, y'all boys?
W punctuality, Bama.
Yeah, man. I try to, bro. The panel, bro. They leave us very small room for error. So I gotta get right on it. When I see they ain't when they done, I gotta bam. Or it's just L host. You know how these folks is. But
You got to add like a ticket tax for when he starts going on his rant.
For sure, ticket tax. That's what we're finna start saying. Ticket tax. When we late, ticket tax. But before we get into the show, let me start off by being a good host and shout out our GOAT members. Cobra Son of Raditz, Comatose in the Clutch, Legend Skamet. If you'd like to become a member, click the link down in the bio, hit the subscribe button, check out the tiers, come join us, become a family of Players Choice, bro, with all our casual and nasty takes, bro. For the game, get all here, man. Getting towards the end of football, fellas, man. I'm almost getting sad, bro. It's almost that time. It's really setting in. Like my birthday kind of like lets me know, like, yeah, football is almost over. College football, January 1st, we are already in the Final Four. Probably the most controversial Final Four in
a long time.
10 years, a long time.
It's the best way to like let people know. It's the best way to let people know that the 12th team is really needed. So that's what I looked at it like. It's unfair, but Florida State, like, will y'all really try to get in there and get waxed by Michigan 40-0? Because the only way you have an argument is if you somehow find a way to beat Georgia. That's the only way you have an argument.
I don't know if they get. Yeah, I understand. That's the thing. It's Georgia Florida game we'll really see because there's arguments for both sides. Because Florida's like we not gonna get whacked defense and stuff. Because like ultimately we don't know. Like we can assume. Ultimately we don't know. That's the beauty about football. So I think they do lose. But if they do somehow beat Georgia, then like dang, that's gonna open a lot of eyes. So the college football playoffs been outdated.
That's the best way to justify.
Yeah, so it's like an update.
That's the best way to justify themselves.
The college football playoffs like that old. It's that like that old Honda you got when you was in high school. Now it's time to move on. Like you got more money now. You doing better. Upgrade from that old Honda.
Quick question before everybody join. Let me ask both of y'all this: did the college football playoff get it right more than they got it? So let me say this. Was it a distinct difference than the BCS? Because you remember the BCS was just like a computer, and they just be like, yeah, these is just the two top teams.
I would say they got it more right than wrong. Like, yeah. So if I said what I said was like, I understand why they did it. I just don't like it because you did everything you were supposed to do, right? You lost your star quarterback. You still found a way to be an undefeated Power 5 champion, but also at the same time, Bama, you said it. It's a business at the same time. They're not trying to have 65-7. This is the time where all the casuals pull up. They're not trying to see that on even if it's a semifinal game. Not trying to see that. So I get it. It's unfair, but also at the same time, people forget Florida State had 2 weeks to show that they belong to the playoff after Jordan Travis left, and they didn't inspire confidence. So that's just tough. It's just tough.
Florida State to me had a chance again if they had impressive wins, but a lot of their wins were just ugly, right? And I think at the end of the day, the selection committee, like I said, we saw what happened with TCU, year before. They just didn't want to have that again. So they made the right business move, like you said. They made the right football move too. I think we got the best games possible. But I will say, I think is it next year they're adding a few teams, right? Or the year after they're adding.
Yeah, it's 12 next year. So
12, yeah. So I wonder that people say there are problems with the college football thing, but the genius with college football is a lot of regular season games are playoff games. But the genius of college football is that every regular season game matters because of the selection process and only having a limited amount. So I've always kind of thought the more you add, and I get it that you can have more teams that probably deserve to get in there, but it does take away a little bit of the regular season big matchup. We understand one loss can change the trajectory of your entire season. It's only sport that do that. The regular season where one loss can change everything, right? So I always thought with college football, I wonder how that'll play out if these
I think it'll still be the same because the rivalries are now like the conference movements because now you see these bigger teams moving different conferences and that's going to put more impact and the game's going to be more exciting, a lot closer games. So I think I think now the regular season I think both going to mean a lot more with the conference movement, and now you add a expanded playoffs. I thought it was gonna be 8 teams, but I think I'm fine. I'm cool with 12 teams, and yeah, I think
To
the
be
college
honest,
football playoffs is a good thing.
I
Also,
thought
want to say this
16
real
was the
quick
perfect
too.
number.
I want
16.
to say this real
16
quick
makes the
too.
most sense to make sure that everything is divisible with one another at the end of the day. So
I
you
want
have
to ask.
16, 8, 4, 2.
I want to ask y'all this too. So two things. I see a few people in the chat saying Michigan would not score 30 against Florida State. So I want to say this. So this is what I want y'all to remember. Yes, throughout the season, you guys did not give up 30. But the real tricky thing behind this college football playoff, and this is what Nick Saban even said, and this is how you got to look at it. You got to look at all 4 of those teams as the number 1 team in the country, because essentially that's what it is. You could be the 4th seed and win the national championship, like we in South Africa. So that's pretty much the number 1 seed all over, just in different regions. So what I say that to say this: you cannot tell me with the offense that you guys have at Florida State to give a Michigan, a Texas, or Washington those extra possessions where you guys cannot score, consistently going 3 and out. You cannot tell me if you give some of those ball clubs 3, 4, 5, 6 extra possessions throughout their game that they don't hang fucking 50 on y'all. Like, you not finna give those high potent offenses what we just saw. Like let's be honest, bro. I know we all fans, but let's just be objective right here real quick. We'll just take Alabama out, since I'm just Mr. Alabama jersey, Alabama hat. We'll just take Alabama out, and I'll put Washington, Michigan, and Texas up in there. Just their offense. I just look at their offenses and what they present on offense. It's no way in hell with the offense Florida State displayed versus those Louisville and the last team they played. That offense they displayed out there was putrid, bro. And those offenses, that's why those games were so close, because they kept giving those 3 and outs. Never moved the ball up out of negative field position. That's real bad. So now when we start talking about Washington, Texas, these teams that can score quick touchdowns like that, 1-play touchdowns, these guys that can get punt returns, they got dynamic players all over the field. You're not just finna start giving them 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 possessions and just sit there and arrogantly be like, oh yeah, bro, our defense ain't gonna do nothing. Alabama showed you they went from when they offense showed you where they couldn't do nothing in the beginning of the season. Our defense looked trash. And what happened when we start converting on those 3rd down drives? Once Jalen Milroe start converting, that defense started looking like an old Alabama defense, 2010, 2015 Alabama defense. So that just goes to show you, even top tier defenses can't hold up against you constantly giving good football teams extra possessions due to innate ability to move the football, dog. Like, I don't think y'all really understand that. I know you say, oh, we made it and all that. But, bro, them extra possessions in those football games is going to get real ugly. That's what happened to TCU. They started fumbling on the 2 negative. You can't do that against good ball clubs. You are going to get ran, slapped off the field, whether you feel like you got a good team or not. You can't do that. So I bring y'all this question just to answer him. I bring y'all this question. If we do add 12 teams, I work at a college. I think about this. So the more games we add, especially neutral site games, these kids are going to be away from school. So how do they work this out? Like, we might as well just be honest. Like, just don't. If you play Power 5 football, basketball, bro, just make them take all online classes, whatever the case may be. And because why would we just sit up here and act like they student athletes? Because that's what I started thinking about. When you start adding more playoff games, these will be more games these kids are away from school, because you got to have neutral sugar bowls, orange bowl. They're not just going to have it at Michigan or whatever the case may be. They want these other places to make money. So with that being said, what can they, like, do you feel like they I don't know, bro. Like once this college football playoff start, I feel like these young men will have to be, they can't be students, bro. Y'all all boys went to college, man. Dave, you in college right now. Imagine trying to manage that lesson load on top of traveling. You know, you're in Alabama, you finna travel to Pasadena.
I think
miles from Tuscaloosa.
I think luckily they have a benefit, since their schools have money. They have a benefit of airlines, air travel. They don't have to travel through bus, so that is a benefit. So you get there a little quicker, and probably have
They
to
fly private, right? Do they fly private?
Some of the schools like
The ones that
Bama,
make more
Oregon,
money,
they
for
got
sure.
those plans.
Yeah,
Some
I got
schools.
you.
So
do.
that
But
is
at
a
the-
benefit. So that is a benefit. I feel like where the playoff games has to be bowl games. So now you're making a playoff game bowl games, and I would say you have to like depending on the regular season. I feel like how you make the regular season to make it easier, you do it for teams that are close by. So I have Alabama schedule in the SEC and the out of conference games be like a team that's close by, like Texas or like what's another state. Like don't have them go to like California, this that. Like have the regular season be have them play the top, have them play their conference and the top and the out of conference games should be close by somewhere at least in a 3 to 5 state radius, 3 to 4 state radius. In the playoff games, I feel like because you see right now this time of they out of school, like they out of school. School kind of is kind of over with, and like depending on the school is because I know every school is different. On this
holiday season, right? Like right now, it's a holiday season.
It's finals, then you're gone.
Yeah, it's finals. So I feel like having to take the finals, and right as soon as finals over, you guys had to schedule practice because at the end of the day, it is you did sign up for this. Like for me, when I'm running track and field, like I started to do finals, still have to do, and they'll still have to travel according to this. I feel like you have to. I feel like the committee or like the school has to get with the students or the ADs and come up with a plan. So like for that period, I think that's the hardest period, the finals period and the travel period. I don't have a set answer for that, but luckily, due to money and travel, I feel like you can have it when or like schedule it where like, hey, let's have the plane go off this time, this, that, and like make sure every student has their grades right, they finals right. So you have a set time to leave for the bowl game. Or like if or have Alabama just play in a Cotton Bowl in Texas, that's nearby, or have them play in a Peach Bowl that's in Georgia.
I'll be honest.
That's a little.
My
I think that's a little
perspective
overblown.
from the outside looking in.
That's right.
I'm one of those people. Although I empathize with what you're saying, Bama. I'm not going to feel bad for them. They're still college athletes getting on a scholarship, playing very important football with the chance to go in the NFL, and basically the stars of their institution. So at the end of the day, like Dev Side said, you guys signed up for being a college athlete. This is par for the course when it comes down to it. This is the road to become great in the NFL, or at the very least, when it comes down to it, if you don't make it to the NFL, you have a degree to rely upon, which I'm sure you didn't have to invest a lot of resources compared to the average student that you can use as a means to create or get a different career. So it's a challenge for sure, but this is the challenge to success. So I don't really feel bad for them at the end of the day. And the increased playoffs, like the more opportunities have for in terms of teams going into the playoffs, is better for you to be in the spotlight and show your capabilities. So I think teams want to be part of the playoffs. They want to be in the spotlight. They want to have the opportunity. And with the opportunity comes the more difficult path to succeed in the opportunity.
Yeah, a lot of people's draft stock increase with that extra playoffs too.
Well, I think the at least the academic side, Dev, that you said is overblown. Obviously, this doesn't account for every Division I school, but they're taking private charters. They got tutors on deck for you. I played at NAIA school. If I ever needed a tutor, they had one ready. They did whatever they could to help us out. Because look, even if I'm not playing, that still looks bad on the university if you got multiple kids on the team failing stuff, right? So they're doing their hardest just to fix that. So that's why I'm sitting there like, if they got chartered planes, if their locker rooms getting renovated every year, they're doing everything they can to make their football, the athlete's life, as great as possible while they're there, right? Plus you're getting a scholarship, and now the NIL, you getting extra money on top of that. Like, they're asking you, Bama, like, think about all the people outside. So there are some people out there raising kids, working 3 jobs, and still find a way to make it work. So I don't want to hear about, schoolwork is a little tough. Meanwhile, you're getting paid to be there. Plus your school's free. And all you got to do is play ball, really, and just make sure you're on top of your grades. Because also we all know, man, they get a little extra love when it comes to the grades. Oh, he got a 79.
I think the professors are going to give him the extension.
Jalen Milroe.
Yeah, like Jalen Milroe got a 79 in English 1. Like, hey, help him out. Help him out so he keeps that 3.5. What are we talking about? Like, or he keeps that 3.0. So they do that. Like it. I think there's plenty of resources for these kids to tell that they can fly across the country really, and they'll be fine.
I will say though, like out of say the 6 teams that do with the playoffs, I do think we have to understand that 99.9% of these guys aren't going to be in the NFL. They're just not making the NFL. That's just how it works. Most of these guys aren't going to play in the NFL, so the degree is important for them. Life after football is important for them, right? And a lot of these guys, I know, like NIL deals, like these top guys, it's great. But not everyone's getting lifetime money in these NIL deals. Not everyone's getting millions of dollars. There's some guys who might get $30,000, $40,000, which is great, but it's not life-changing money that's going to last you the rest of your life, right? So I do think education does matter for 99% of these college athletes.
You can't discount the
I'm not discounting that, but I'm just saying, you know.
I think all these guys, in terms of how after they'll get the extensions, you know, they'll work with the professors, they'll figure it out for sure in terms of that. But I want to say it's attitude. So the national championship game is still going to be on the same day. It's still going to be like early January usually.
The first week of January. It's
first week of January. So that's the holiday
first
season.
and second week of January.
Yeah, first week. And so then the semifinal game is going to be a week before, which also covers in the holiday, like Christmas time, right? Christmas, New Year's.
It's usually on the eve.
Yeah, so it's only like the first game of the playoffs that'll be during the academic season, technically, the 16 versus 1 seed. Like the first round playoffs will be during the academic season, and then the next
it's like New Year's Eve. Like it's usually on December 30.
So when they do the 16, that's like the semifinal, right? Will be New Year's.
But the biggest devitt in the college football season is that time between the conference championship and the New Year's Six. So that's I think that's what they're trying to fill with the 12-team playoff. I would do 16 because NAIA does it 16 and it works great. And the NFL did the same thing where the top 2 seeds would get a bye instead of just the number 1 team would. But it works. It's going to work in the 12 team anyway. So I think that's what you're trying to talk about, right, Jalen?
Yeah. It'll be cool to see. I mean, if they ever do get to 16, if that's 16 versus 1 seed, that ranking.
16 should be the max. They shouldn't go.
I think 12 is good right now. I think 16 might be.
I think 16 is fine. We also have to take into account that in terms of college, the reason why it's so different from the pros is we know the set amount of teams, like they're either 30 or 32. College, there are so many football teams. There is a whole bunch of football teams. So there's honestly, you could argue that they would be warranted, like the NCAA does it, to have a larger bracket pool for more teams to go in the playoffs. So with all these teams, especially since you never know who's the sleeper horse that's just not getting the attention because of how college football rankings work, the better all these teams, more chances for a less notable team to have the opportunity to prove who they are. So it makes sense. I do think some conference championship games will be watered down, not as matter. Because if we had 12 this year, like would the Alabama Georgia game be as impactful as it was? Because we'd understand if there was 12 teams this year, both were going to get in.
Well, remember,
but again, we understood like it was such a great game, and I thought that game was so intense because we understand these are 2 of the best teams in college. One is going to be left out because they lost. But now with 12 or 16, both those teams are going to get it no matter what.
Now you're talking about who gets a bye or not, Jalen.
Yeah, that's seeding now.
Yeah, I'll say that. But I think that Alabama, Georgia, until at least Nick Saban retires, I think that matchup will always forever be like that because that's pretty much Ip Man versus Bruce Lee. Matthew versus Sensei. Yeah. Because like I don't think y'all understand how intimate them guys were. Because once you be around for somebody for 10 years, like defensive coordinator, Kirby coached the DBs, that was basically Nick Saban Jr. You know what I'm saying? Like it got to a point where we won those back-to-back titles. And crucial times, Nick Saban used to go down the sideline and be like, hey, Kirby, what we doing? Like literally for your head coach to give the reins over to another dude like that, bro, that mean like, dog, you almost I really trust you, bro. Like you got my baby. You know how Nick Saban love his defense. So I think it's pretty much
South, Bama.
I thought Georgia might have made it too, based on the business. But I think Georgia, Alabama in the college football playoff is better.
Back and forth. That's part 5 now. That all have been
realistically. Like the only reason Georgia is out is because they just lost at the worst time. That's why they're out.
Bad time to lose.
Also, you got to recognize, Jalen, that even though the playoff implications aren't there from what you were talking about, and versus it's going to be there with the increased playoff spots, that doesn't devalue the matchup that is taking place in the at the end of the day. Because it's kind of like the Chiefs versus the Bills literally every year nowadays. We still want to see Chiefs versus Bills, regardless of whether or not there's playoff implications. We still want to see Bengals versus Ravens, regardless of not if there's playoff implications. Those games are just going to be big because it's high-level competition again going up against each other, and especially if they have a history, of course.
Hey, look at
Alabama
Ravens
games, man. It felt like for a while those Steelers Ravens games were deciding who's.
Rivalry games will always be there for sure.
Yeah,
I
like
just think the
Alabama,
concept of if you lose, you know your season is done. Like that does add to it. Like knowing if you lose.
Also, don't forget. I know we're arguing about the fourth spot now. It's just going to transition to us arguing about the 12th spot. And if Liberty makes it and they're undefeated, but then a 2-loss Ole Miss is like, no, we should be in the playoff.
I get it, but like the 12th seed, like it's not going to move me as
you're
much.
Right,
as, like,
but there's those arguments are still going to be there. Because
I ain't gonna lie though, they showed like the 12th seed, and then G baby, you could get this, but I ain't gonna lie, Ryan, they showed like the 12th seed, like it kind of almost looked right. Besides, if you just want to throw like a Liberty up in there, like now
I would give Liberty if you go undefeated and win your conference. Like, come on, bro, like you got to give them something. Because then, what's the point of them winning their conference? It's not like you're giving them a bye, just give them the 12th seed.
I think that's fair.
The college football playoff messed up when they first brought it because they made it 4 teams.
Yeah,
and they have
really
5. They have 5 Power 5 conferences. They should have, and I said this the year they made it. They should have just made it 6. 5 Power 5 conferences, and then your 6th seed. First 2 get a bye because there's nothing wrong with it in the NFL. Because if I'm not mistaken, the first year of the playoff, was there not controversy about who should be the 4th seed? Mm-hmm. And was it not the year Ohio State made it as the 4 when Baylor and TCU were like right there?
And they won it too, right?
Yeah, they won it, which kind of was okay, cool, you got it right. But we've had Cincinnati as a 4th seed. What happened? We had Washington as a 4th seed. What happened? TCU, it's a little better because at least they won a game, but then they got to the national championship and lost 65-7.
And then
that's where they messed up. They should have just made it 6 teams. You have your 5 Power 5. They could have made this easy. You win your conference Power 5, you're in. Next best team.
You have to legitimately maybe lose 3. If you lose 3 games, maybe that's one time.
Like that might be the one time they're like, hey, if like for example, let's just say for the sake of instance, let's just say Florida State. Let's say they won their conference, but they were 8-3. Okay, maybe then.
Then you put in this year. Oregon gets it in front of you.
Yeah, but other than that, every year. Matter of fact, Penn State won the Big Ten and didn't make the playoffs.
To be fair, the Pac-12 was the biggest victim. Ever had that dominant team that could step up and be Oregon had a chance, but then they lose a bad game or something like that. So they were the one that was victimized the most. And then now, ironically, on the last year, this was the one you like. Obviously, Bama, you could say different, but like Oregon and Washington were the 2 best teams, or two of the better teams in the nation. And it's just when you sit there, you could argue even if Florida State went undefeated. I'm like, I might pick. Even me and Jared are talking about it. I might pick Oregon over y'all. Because I think Oregon's just a better team.
They lost to the same team twice, though.
That's just the tough part, but they're both very competitive games.
I know you say Oregon minus Ole Miss this year, and I think the year before last. I mean, they had 2 years of recent where they only 2 losses was Alabama and Georgia. So it's like, that's just unfortunate. If I'm Ole Miss, like where do I win at? You know what I'm saying? Like I do everything I can do.
Now the 12th team now should remedy Ole Miss's problems if they keep losing Tony Georgia.
Alabama. And COVID, I felt for Texas A&M, they only lost was to Alabama when we had Waddle and Devontae Smith, and we blitzed everybody with just Devontae Smith after we lost Waddle, and they missed the college football playoff because. I mean, they had 1 loss, and y'all remember how that
Jimbo
went.
Fisher's best year there. They're paying him like $100 million to stay away. That's crazy.
And I hear you, but like we're gonna get to these 12 teams, and I know because I just saw it with the college. They were hating on the BCS. Like we need a playoff. They got it. Complained the year 1. We're gonna get to this 12-team playoff, and I guarantee you, mark my what is today. December 20th, 2023. Mark my words, when selection day comes in 2024, we're going to be complaining again.
But has the playoff not been better than the BCS? G baby, has the playoff not been better? I think it has been way better than the BCS in my opinion.
I mean, sure, but nobody's ever going to be happy. People going to
complain, bro.
Yeah, people complain.
And I'm saying
definitely better. Definitely better now. Definitely better now.
I'm saying because look. This is what's going to happen. Here's my bold prediction. We're going to get to this 12. Whoa, what is going on with that camera? We're going to get to the 12-team playoff. Oh, there's a background. We're going to get to the 12-team playoff. And seed 1 through 6 is probably going to be perfectly fine. 7, 9, 8, 9, 10, whatever. 11 and 12, there might be a little argument, but nobody's going to care because I guarantee you, when we get to 10, 11, 12, and they got to play, how many teams get a bye? The first 2 or the first 4?
I think it was first 2, right?
First two.
So they got to play a 3 and they got to play a 4 seed. They're going to be like, oh my gosh, they're just getting blown out. They're getting destroyed. Like, why do we want to see? Like, that's going to happen. I think they should have just made it 6 because you still have 6 elite teams, but you don't have to worry about it. Like, I'm not going to lie. This isn't college basketball. College basketball, there's upsets all the time in a one and done format with those types because teams can just get hot, get lucky. 9 times out of 10, you're not going to see a 12 seed upset a 2 seed or a 3 seed. And then especially when you look at like construct, like you got your Bamas, your Georgia, Texas looks like they're back, especially with the guys they just got. You got all these, bro. Like, for example, if it would have ended this year, who was the 11th seed and 12?
I was gonna say, what would the matchup be this year?
It was
Ole
Miss was one of them.
Yeah, like if we look at the course of things, ain't nobody gonna be looking at the game like, ooh, hey, I don't know.
Wait, so it'd be Ole Miss versus Texas or Ole Miss versus Alabama?
Ole Miss and
versus
Oklahoma.
Texas? Ole Miss versus Texas would be a game, I think. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think that might be a game.
Also, I'm guessing the hope, in addition to the conversation, is that the college football continuously becomes more. There continues to be more polarity in college football with obviously the NIL deals and with the transfer portal. So, with that polarity, there won't be. The hope is there won't be just the stacked teams on the top versus everybody else. It's like more teams will have the capability of being more competitive. So
Oklahoma,
in addition to
Ole
that
Miss,
and the
Tennessee,
playoffs,
Missouri,
I'm
and
sure that's the
Oregon.
hope.
Yeah, I just looked at it right now. Like, honestly, well, this is what I'll say. Shout out to the Pac-12 this year because I've called them religiously the JV of the Power 5.
They definitely.
And this year they were like, oh, hey, we competing with the big boys this year. So I think that because I'm looking across that kind of like, and then like Penn State was pretty solid this year, even though they sold against teams that probably should have been better against. I look at a Notre Dame team with 3 losses who really should have only had 2, but they sold. Like, I think this year was probably the best it would have looked as far as like competitive value. But if you look across like multiple years, there's a lot of teams in this like 7, 8, 9, 10 that we're going to get to these playoffs and we're going to be like, okay, maybe this is too many teams because they just keep getting smacked every year. Like, at least with a 16 format, you can have a true competitive playoff and not complain about anybody there.
Well, remember, and I mentioned this earlier before you got here, G-Baby, there's this dead time, and I understand there are bowls going on, right? But there's this dead time from the conference championship to the New Year's Six that college football is trying to fill. Because the whatever bowl in North Dakota, nobody's watching that. The craziest part is those are some of the craziest games because that's when like teams are really laying it all on the table. They're emptying out the playbook, but nobody watches those. So they're trying to fill that up, right? Because it is bringing money. But the only thing is, I said if they do increase more 16s to max, because the best thing that works for football, and we talked about this with J-Rob when we're talking about what makes football different, like the in-season tournament compared to what football does. I'm like, football works because of the scarcity of it, where it feels like every game matters. Like if, for instance, if Bama was on like his deathbed, had a straitjacket when they lost to Texas, because you don't know how that could affect their ranking later, right? You just don't know.
And if Georgia would have just handled business, Texas wouldn't even been in the playoffs, in my opinion.
So yeah, that's just one of the things where it's like you can't lose a game now, and then you see how if that's going to get you in the playoffs. So probably the biggest thing that the 12-team playoff is taken away. So now two lost teams are going to make the playoff. That's what's going to happen. So that's all it's done is lower the threshold, but still at the same time, are you really willing to risk having that second loss on your resume and then you're trying to say you're the 10th seed when I understand it sounds crazy because Liberty was undefeated this year, but if Liberty goes undefeated, they did their thing and they're going to take that 12th seed from you because Ole Miss, you messed around and lost maybe the second last game of the season. Now you're screwed because Liberty did all they could and and this is also giving those other conferences a chance where they can send
So,
one team to represent.
Or
For
they're gonna
me,
put three or four
for me,
SEC
the only difference, and I know you're not specifically talking about Liberty, but when I look at
Mhm.
Liberty compared to like a UCF of the past or like a Boise State when they were like highly ranked but wasn't really competing for BCSs.
Them Nevada losses, man, every
Yeah,
time,
yeah, like
every goddamn time.
when I look at that, I also got to take into account who you play.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? When UCF, when they was making arguments, they could have been in the playoffs or whatever. That's because they beat ranked teams and quality teams.
I beat LSU.
Yeah, facts. You know what I mean? So when I look at Liberty, it's just kind of like, I mean, nobody's gonna be moved. Like, shout out to El Paso, Texas, where I'm from. Nobody's moved by a UTEP victory. You know what I mean? Nobody's moved by a New Mexico State victory. Like they're just not.
I understand, G baby, but that's another thing that it's just given. They're never going to get multiple spots. They're just going to get one, and most likely it's probably going to be either the 11th or the 12th seed.
But like Liberty this year, I don't care if they undefeated. They should have never made the playoffs to begin with. I like even if it was 6 and you wanted to go with all the
they're never going to make. They have to go undefeated twice. Like
you know what I mean, or they got to beat some of these top quality programs in order. Like if Liberty was 13-0 and they had a win against, let's just say Louisville, and they had a win against, I don't know, Oklahoma State, just off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they would. Yeah, for sure. You can make an argument. They have 2 quality wins and they're undefeated. But like, again, a UTEP win ain't moving me. Jacksonville State, like, it's just kind of like, you know what I mean? That's why even when we get to the 12 team, I know we've changed conferences and we moved stuff around. I don't necessarily know like how the Pac-12 is going to recover, if it's just going to disband. I don't necessarily know all of that. But when I'm looking at these playoffs going forward, I feel I heard your point about they're trying to fill this time with important games, and I get it. Like, I don't necessarily disagree with that. However, you're trying to fill it with important games. If all these games turn into blowouts or one-sided, and it's really what I'm basically scared of is this 12 team is just going to show you that it really should be a 16. And they should have done that.
I think that's a risk that they're taking, and they're going to see for a while. But I think right now, like to talk about the Liberty point, Liberty's going to have to show a period of success to make the playoff. Like they will go 13-0 this year, and they have to probably go 13-0 again next year to make the playoff as a 12 seed. Right? That's what they have to show. That's what all those lower teams
kind of like Boise State in the mid 2000s when they had that era.
Boise State should have made the BCS at least once if they don't lose. If they don't lose like two games, like where was it? Kellen Moore was like 62-2 or 3 in college, and 2 of those losses were to Nevada.
Legends.
Like, so it's just like, come on, bro.
All right. Move on to the new topic, then you can lead us off, Dev. So this is a new topic. Since we talking college football, we'll kind of keep it around the same realm. This stuck out to me since we're talking about college football, NIL deals, all of this stuff. It's truly changed the whole landscape. The transfer portal truly changed the whole landscape of college football. High school recruiting coordinator tell a camp of 200 kids. Since the NIL, only 7 kids would get a spot on college rosters. Coming up, so just thinking about it from an NIL standpoint, the transfer portal, he's basically saying if you are a kid coming fresh out of high school, a lot of these coaches not really finna take kids fresh out of high school just because of the big stakes of college football. And now, as you see, that portal is pretty much free agency. I got a video right here from Coach Barnes. NCAA has implemented a new rule to possibly benefit these freshmen. I'm gonna let y'all hear this little snippet real quick, and I just want to hear y'all weigh in on this. It stuck out to me, dog. I think this might be good, but I mean, it's a lot of nuances to it. But we'll see what y'all say. Can y'all hear that?
I'm muted.
Don't miss what I'm about to say, so make sure you stay tuned for the full video. Get all the information. Don't start asking me questions. You can get all the information. All right, because I'm finna dive into it. All right, here we go. All right, so starting 24-25, which is next year. All right, any freshman that comes into your school is pretty much awarded a guaranteed scholarship. All right, unless they get in trouble at school, or they get kicked out, suspended, something like that. It cannot be for athletic reason. It cannot be for medical reasons, whether it's physical, mental health, injury. It doesn't matter. All right. You cannot get rid of kids and throw them into the portal like it has been into the past. All right. I know some parents have complained about that. This protects kids. All right. Here's the flip side. This is where it becomes dangerous for college coaches, because now if you take a chance on a kid that's a freshman that may not be good enough to play for you right away, right? And they aren't good enough, whether it's in year 1 or year 3, you are still on the hook as a college institution for that kid's scholarship. What does that do to your program? If I'm in a year where I got to win to save my job, and that kid doesn't want to jump into the portal, or that kid doesn't want to, get into, that kid doesn't get another opportunity when they jump into the portal, I'm on the hook for that scholarship. So is that advantageous for a college coach? No, but it does protect kids, which I like and agree with. Okay, but this is why it's going to hurt. Scenario 2, that was scenario 1. Scenario 2, I recruit a kid that's really, really good. All right, good high school player. Man, I work with him. He developed, him or her, they develop into being really good players. And I'm at the mid-major, low-major level, and then a Power 5 gets them out of the transfer portal, right? Is that beneficial to me, right? Well, it's not beneficial to me, especially if I have to wait till that kid gets an opportunity to go play at those other schools. So while they're in the portal, I have to wait. I can't give their scholarship away, right? I have to wait until the window closes to give their scholarship.
All right, so yeah, he goes in between all the hypotheticals of the logistics of waiting and how do you choose with those kids, but pretty much really what it is, man, is once you do, like, say if I'm a kid fresh out of high school, once I do get that scholarship, you just can't get rid of me, because you can't just shop me and treat me like this free agency no more. That's what a lot of these coaches was doing. So pretty much like what Coach Deion did when he came in and just basically booted everybody off the team. You can't do that no more. If I want to still play for Colorado, and it's nothing wrong with me for as academics wise, I still can stay at Colorado if I came there straight from high school. I don't know like the nuances of it or how they're gonna work that, because like I said, in Power 5 sports is really what have you done for me lately. Mm-hmm. So those dudes really having to fight for jobs and stuff like that. It's gonna be different. But I just want to hear what y'all have to say about that video and the shape of college football evolving.
Well, I want to piggyback off like the scenario you just said. It's like with the Deion thing, where it was like, all right, you came in and just kicked off. If they want to stay, they can stay. That's great, and I'm glad they're still gonna get their scholarship. But I think this is where you run into a little muddy waters. Because then the coach can just legit be like, all right, well, you're not going to play. Like, all right, you're not going to play. Like, whether he's improving or not, if the coach doesn't want him there, doesn't think he's that good, he can get to a point where it's like, all right, you don't want to jump in the transfer portal. Cool. You're just not going to play. And I don't think there's any way to, like, watch or, like, monitor that, because a coach can just say, I don't think he's the best. I don't think he's going to help our team win games. Bet more than this other player. And are they really going to argue with him about that? Like, you kind of can't. You know what I mean? Like, if that's what the coach says and he the one making the decisions, you kind of can't argue with that. So I think that's where you kind of get into muddy waters. I'm glad that they don't, like, lose their scholarship, I guess, because, some of these kids, at the end of the day, I know we're talking about athletics. Some of these kids, this is how they're going to get their degree. Mm-hmm. Not everybody is just going to be blessed to get financial aid or they might, but they got to get hella loans. Trust me, I just graduated. I'm not looking forward to paying them loans. You know what I mean? So
W full ride, baby.
W full ride. You know what I
mean? W Canadian subsidized.
Let's go. I was lucky, man, but that's all I was saying.
And that's what I'm saying. So like I feel like in that sense, great, fantastic. But so I feel like I feel like this is gonna just create a little bit more loopholes, because if the coach decides he's not gonna play, I don't know if this is like a thing or not, but if he's like on scholarship but not playing, ain't getting no snaps, can they not just like quote unquote remove him from the team?
See, I think this is where we have to differentiate the scholarship for playing football the football aspect, and the academic aspect. I think the rule kind of should be that if they do sign you out of high school, you get a scholarship out of high school, you are guaranteed 4 years academic scholarship. Like your classes will be covered. Now, in terms of you playing football, that's up to the coach, your performance, and all that. And I've always kind of thought that with college football, like freshmen, I mean, I'm not sure about the percentage, but I've always kind of thought college football is more of a sophomore, junior, senior like league. Like a lot of freshmen come in and they redshirt. Like a lot of freshmen come in and don't play. I think that's very common just because your body needs to develop, picking up the schemes in college football.
Just got there.
Only
just
the
got
different ones.
Yeah, only like the really, really good
Only
ones.
the really
play,
good
right?
ones start as freshmen.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think in terms of freshman playing, that's never really been a thing. Now, in terms of football wise, now if a coach says, "Hey, you know, I don't think you're good enough even as a sophomore season," I think that's up to that player. He can decide so he should be guaranteed the 4 years of free academic stuff, so he can stay there, get his degree, and try to earn play time on the team if the coach says he can, or he can make a move if he wants to play football. He can enter a transfer portal and make a move. But I don't think you can ever guarantee a player, quote unquote, playing time or a football spot.
Yeah,
because that's a whole different situation. But I do think it's fair to guarantee them 4 years of free education.
Well, I do want to ask a question because I actually have no idea. When it comes down to the scholarships for academic and athletic, are they coming from the same place? Because if they're not coming from the same place, then I don't know how you can warrant just giving an athlete an academic.
I work at the college. So how scholarships go? I work at the college. So how scholarships go? Each program has a scholarship, and normally the academic scholarships, it comes from student services itself. So like admission.
Okay, then. Yep.
You all process all your stuff. Normally, that's where the academic scholarships come from, and they have a whole budget for it, and they just put certain scholarships aside. It's other programs on college campus that you can get scholarships for. And, I will tell y'all this. A lot of kids in college check that damn scholarship portal on them school websites. It is so much unclaimed money. Just not to get off there. I just got to let y'all know.
Yeah.
It is
Some game.
There's so much money. Bama, spit
let them go.
on it, bro. Like, talk about it.
Y'all
There's
just
so much money.
A one-page essay, bro. Sometimes you don't even have to have correct punctuation on it because it will literally be you and the committee reading that essay for a scholarship. Literally, no one submits these scholarships. So, like, I'll tell y'all that too. Like, that's extra money for like kids that, like you say, if you don't make the team, like you still can get paid pretty good, dog. Like, if you just like look at those scholarship boards at the school, what your school can offer you. I don't want to get too far off subject because it's about sports, but man, there's so much unclaimed money in colleges. A lot of kids do not know about.
To kind of piggyback off that, my senior year we had a coaching change. So with a coaching change means scholarships get readjusted. Some people get cut. Some people come in, and my scholarship was cut. My scholarship was cut probably by about a quarter. So legitimately, there was always this one scholarship in my school where it's mainly for foreign students. Every year that I went, unclaimed. So legitimately, I got it because I was like, hey, I'm Kenyan. Like Bama said, wrote a goddamn one-page essay about my heritage. And legitimately, I turned it in. An hour later, I got the email, hey, you received the scholarship. Like, when I tell you, I think a lot of people need to understand, you can get scholarships for being left-handed. Just left-handed. Like, they give away so much money that a lot of people, either you look at it or you just don't think about it, or you don't go to the right place, or so. It's like some of those, like, schools want to give you that money because they want to claim that so they can balance their budget. Like, for instance, to give you USC's athletic budget. They break even absolutely. It makes absolutely no sense that they do. But you want to know why? So that they don't pay extra in taxes or extra fees to university. So they're giving away these scholarships to kids so they can break even. So that it looks like they're not making that much money. Because the biggest thing, especially early before NIL, was like, they're like, college football is making billions of dollars. How come these kids aren't seeing any? But then the USC could be like, we're not making that much money. Look, we're breaking even, or sometimes we're losing money. And a lot of these things also because they're giving away these scholarships. Like, this isn't like, you're getting $1,000 scholarship. These are like five. Like, one that I got was $5,000 for just saying that I was Kenyan and proving it. And I got $5,000, and that was my full ride for my last year. So it's always out there. Just a lot of people don't know where to look, or they just don't look hard enough. Where I'm like, I've seen people use $1,000 scholarships to pay their tuition off. Just random. Just keep getting a ton of them and just keep paying those off.
Hey, since we got the man in here, MJ, I ain't gonna bother you too much, bro. I ain't gonna bother. I know it's been rough couple 3 weeks, bro.
Bro,
And
it's been
bothering me, man.
brutal.
I said some things about Jalen Hurts.
Oh, he's an Eagles fan?
I don't mean. I didn't. I don't
bro.
mean it now. In the past, I did mean it, but they were surfacing, and it's looking pretty.
Thanks to me.
What's this topic?
Hey, so hey, look, I'll give you a perfect intro. Jalen Hurts or Adrian Peterson. Which one is he?
That's crazy.
What?
Jalen Hurts or Adrian Peterson? Who is he? I don't know, because I thought he was a quarterback, but Bama 2 years ago called him Adrian Peterson.
That's crazy.
And against the Seahawks, it looks like that's all he.
230, 223.
It makes no
And against
sense.
the Seahawks, that looked like that's all he could be.
Hey,
MK, other people.
I love you, bro. I see what you're doing out there, bro. I'm not gonna bother you. This is what I really want to talk to y'all boys about. Ravens versus 49ers preview, y'all. Bro, this is finna be the game of the games coming up. I want to hear y'all thoughts, kicking it off about this game. What y'all think? Do y'all think this is the Super Bowl preview? This could be a Super Bowl preview.
Potentially.
It could be, but it won't be.
I think this game could decide the MVP vote. I think if Brock Purdy and the Niners win this game, and Brock Purdy has a game where he scores 3 touchdowns,
Jalen's cooking right now.
300 yards, I think Brock Purdy's going to win the MVP without a doubt. Now, if he loses this game, then I think Baltimore makes a big statement. The MVP vote is still wide open. It's going to be a close game. I think it'll be a 1-possession game. But this is, again, you said pre-Super Bowl, Cursor, 100%. I still, again, look, I understand the Chiefs are not looking so great. You know, Tooney, the wide receiver, dude's about to get cut the way he's been playing, costing his team games. But like, it's just I'm just not going against the Chiefs and Mahomes until I see it. It's just one of those things. I just have a feeling Mahomes is going to do some magic in the playoffs. It's going to be annoying. He's going to somehow take this team to the Super Bowl. But big game, and I do think I'll take the Ravens here. Shout out Lamar Jackson. Never gets the praise he deserves.
I will say this: this feels like a heavyweight fight. Like both teams are gonna come in there, and they both like to impose their wills on the other team. Mm-hmm. So the game's in Baltimore, right?
No,
it's in San Francisco.
At San Francisco, yeah.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Who got that?
So I think San Fran will win the game, but it's gonna be close. But also, I would have picked San Fran in Baltimore anyway, because I just think they're just a little bit. They just have a little bit too much in terms of firepower on both sides of the ball. But Lamar, the way Lamar has been playing, like, you notice how Mookie didn't say nothing this week about Lamar and how he was playing last week. We
don't need to go there.
So I just think that if the Ravens do win, I think John Harbaugh might put a little something, like pull a little trick out of his bag, because I'm also interested in the coaching matchup also. And the Ravens, I don't know how the Ravens can win this game besides Lamar going crazy, but if they do win, that's
Odell.
how they do it.
Odell,
and the quarterback that wins this game is going to be the MVP.
Well, I wouldn't. Like Dev said, I wouldn't go there to say that it's solely depending on Lamar. It's depending on Lamar and the defense, because the Ravens defense is a top 3 defense in the NFL right now, and they got to play like that against the 49ers, which, especially in terms of stopping that run game, which will be huge. And the Ravens have been one of the better pass rushes too, which will also be huge when it comes to Purdy. Because even though Purdy, I like his off-platform a bit, he's not elite. He's not going to be a game changer with that. So you can get pressure on Purdy. My biggest thing from this right now, when it comes to the Ravens and the 49ers, because I think the 49ers are going to win. And it might be comfortable, not a blowout, but it might be a comfortable win. And that's because, especially when Chase Young came to this team, Lamar Jackson, he's great. Sometimes he goes, hey, man, it's hard to tackle him. And I was watching the Jaguars game. I'm like, bro, how are you guys letting him go this way and then come all the way around and do that so easily? I'm like, what are you doing? When it comes down to it, what the Jaguars were doing, despite everything Lamar was doing, especially in the first half, they were still getting to Lamar Jackson. They were still bringing him down and making it very difficult on him. I think the 49ers can do the exact same thing and counter the terrible offensive play. If the 49ers keep on scoring and their offense has been dominant and their pass rush gets to Lamar, then it should be a comfortable win, not a blowout for the 49ers.
I feel like it's the same thing with both teams, depending who pass rush kind of shows up. I feel like that's who's going to win, because if you put pressure on any quarterback, you're going to struggle with. Lamar, he's so dynamic this year. He's showing he can kill with his arm or kill with the legs. I think that's the difference maker because the 49ers have struggled with some rushing QBs or like dynamic QBs because even though they have Chase Young, Nick Bosa, Lamar still finds a way to get away. I feel like the Ravens gonna kind of probably scheme him some more QB runs, some more. I think there might be some more design runs, some more quick. He probably gonna have him get the ball out quick out of the playmakers' hands. How like Odell eat, Zay Jones eat. I think ultimately it'll be a close game. Probably can come down to a field goal in that last possession. I'll probably edge the 49ers because I feel like Debo could also go off. I don't know if Kyle Hamilton's playing. If Kyle Hamilton is playing, then that's going to be a difference maker because he's been one of the better young safeties in the league. And obviously, Roquan Smith is probably a top 3, top 5 linebacker in the game right now. So I really think it's going to come up with a defense at the end of the day, whose defense is going to show up, whose pass rush is going to come forward. And I do think both teams has weaknesses. I think they're gonna attack the corners. I think the weakest part of the 49ers is the secondary. I think the Ravens gonna find a way to attack the corners or to find a way to like go on outside, get some runs going.
What a way to spend New Year's, by the way.
I say this too, fellas. Don't be surprised because the Ravens is pretty much the AFC version of the 49ers. Mm-hmm. Instead of using a receiver to add on to the run game, they use a quarterback. Lamar is pretty much Debo. He has the same dynamic running ability. They come from like the same dynamic angles. They make the same dynamic plays. They bust the offenses open so many ways. Pause. Then you got your Christian McCaffrey, which the Ravens got Gus Buzz. My guy Keaton Mitchell, who just hurt himself. Prayers for him. But anyway,
that's such a huge loss for them.
But
he gave that offense so much juice.
I would rather you say the Ravens are like the Eagles. I don't think the Niners are so stacked, bro. Christian McCaffrey being the running back is such.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that they are just like ultra stacked on offense, but the way that they approach you, they really want to beat you up. Just how the 49ers do. The 49ers come in, dog, and they roll their sleeves up, and this is an old school bar fight. We finna pull guard tackle. We finna pull Trent Williams. We finna lead Kyle Juszczyk up. We finna just constantly over and over punch you in the mouth. And then we're not gonna put ourselves in negative yardage situations. So now our defense come back in favorable situations. Not only are they the top defenses in the league, they're well rested from us running the ball all game. And if we do go 3 and out, we going 3 and out on your 40 or 35. Sometimes we punt. Now you punt down in a 2 going against these top defenses. So unlike a defense having to come out there like the Chargers, they come out there in a shitty situation and then you expect them to bail you out. No, these defenses come out in favorable situations and they come out rested from these guys 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes off time possessions in that drive. That's what the Ravens present. That's what the Niners present. I feel like that's why the Ravens always, because you remember like back when they was being racist with Lamar, the Niners was crying about how they couldn't see the ball when he was really making them look bad running the ball in the rain. Lamar really, the last time he played the Niners, he made them look horrible in the rain, bro. In the rain. He shook one dude twice in one play. Like that was really insane. So
this is such a crazy matchup, man.
Christmas, that's a big game for Christmas. That's the best present.
It should be a good game. Also, Keaton Mitchell is out for their season, so that's a huge against their the Ravens because he was their home run hitter. He was 100% their home run hitter and made big plays. So Justin Hill, Gus Edwards, I don't know.
I am worried that this game is not going to be as good as y'all think. I'm worried that it's going to be a blowout one way or another. I saw the Ravens struggle stopping the run against Kyron Williams and that terrible O-line, which certain individuals think they're only good because of Matt Stafford. But then I saw them the next week against a better running back and a better O-line, shut them down. The 49ers, when they lose, they can't run the ball. And I still believe, I don't care that Trent Williams is there. I still believe their O-line is overrated. I believe it's Trent Williams and everybody on this panel. But the Ravens the 49ers, and it was really the Eagles game to me, dominated the line of scrimmage on offense, which was something I was not expecting. They actually did it on both sides of the ball, which I thought it was going to be more of an even matchup. they made that Eagles D-line, which we know is the strength of that team, look weak. They made them look like they didn't belong. And that's a shame because Jalen Carter, them boys can play. Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Fletcher Cox is still serviceable. They have a rotation and a pretty good one. But it's kind of like which one is going to show up. I don't know. I don't know if the 49ers we saw against the Eagles is going to show up, or I don't know if the 49ers we saw against the Vikings is going to show up.
I don't know if we're going to see that version again.
I don't think we're going to. No.
Time.
But my point is though, because I know obviously I'm not going to ignore the fact that Trent and Debo were hurt. Clearly, that hurt that offense more than we think. However, I'm very much like, especially with the way this season has gone, somebody got to get caught eventually. And I just don't think it's going to – I low-key – I just don't know which side it's going to happen on, but I can see a 2-possession, 17-point win because they just got dominated. Now, obviously, when you look on paper, that defense, both sides, it should be a close game. I believe the spread is like 2.5. Like, it should be a close game. But I just don't know if both teams are really going to show up and just give their best. Like,
I think, bro, the question, sorry about that, I'm in the train, but, like, the question should be, bro, about the Ravens. Because the 49ers, I'll give them their props. They proved themselves. It's week 16. We know what this team is. They blown everybody out. They done blowed the Cowboys out, blowed the Eagles out. That offensive line, when Trent is in there, is the best O-line in the NFL. So I don't feel like they should have any questions. If you want to question Brock Purdy, that's the only thing in terms of what happens if Lamar and these guys jump out to a 14-0 lead, like the Eagles could have done, but what happened? They settled for field goals. So on the Ravens side, they have to convert in the red zone, because if you're playing a team like the 49ers, your defense can only do so much. Like, they're going to put up points regardless. But if your defense can, hold them, to a field goal, whatever, that's a win. And you got to come back and get a touchdown. So that's my question is with the Ravens, if they can have the offense that can capitalize.
I think we're being disingenuous about the Ravens. The Ravens
are also.
So.
Are we?
Hold on. Let me explain. So the Ravens are also walking in winning 4 games since their last week, and the only time, in my opinion, I thought they looked shaky was against the Rams. But they won comfortably against the Bengals. They won 20-10 against the Chargers, and then they like G Baby said, they handled the Jaguars. Whether or not you say the Jaguars should have done this and that, the defensively. But that didn't happen.
In the first half, so the Jaguars mostly kind of bit themselves in the foot, to be honest.
And when we look at the reason why, because going back to MJ's point, reason why, because he talked about it, red zone. Here's what I found. Unfortunately, I don't know without Mark Andrews if they're going to be effective in the red zone against this defense, who we could say what they want about the skill set of their secondary. As a unit, they are solid. They are really, really good. They lock up when they need to. As a unit, I don't know if the Ravens are going to be like, they very well could. The 49ers can lay an egg. That's why I said it's either way. But what scares me about the Ravens is their ability to convert in the red zone. Even though I like Zay, he might not play, and I love Odell, one of my favorite players. I don't know. He's still a question mark at this point.
The only reason I'm saying this, obviously, like, I see a lot of people in the chat bringing up the Ravens getting injured, but they're always injured. Like, if there's one team that can kind of manage the injury bug that always seems to hit them every year, it's this team. And they're walking in. I think they have the superior coach.
What do you mean by manage?
Like, obviously they're managing.
They manage their injuries the best. Like,
they manage their injuries the best because they're always hurt.
Losing. Outside of that 1 year where they lost their whole secondary, I believe what it was, like 11 people off their secondary.
Yeah, last year. It was last year, I thought.
Or one of the years.
Last year or the year before, yeah.
Besides that year where they just lost so many people, they've always consistently lost people. They've managed to outside of losing Lamar.
Yeah.
Shit, even they look like they could have won that
Sure.
playoff game versus the Bengals without Lamar. So the Ravens, I will probably say out of all the teams, they manage injuries the best.
So
and
the
that's
only
true.
so
You got to give credit to Coach Harbaugh for that too.
I think
And
that's a
I'll
really
say-
big
I'll
edge for
say-
the Ravens right there. I think that's a
and
really
I'll
big
say-
edge for them.
And I'll say this too before you go, bro. If the Ravens win this with the Lions, and at first I had Dan Campbell as coach of the year, but I don't know. I ain't like some of their results. I know they did better, but I'm gonna be looking at Coach Harbaugh as the coach of the year with all the injuries they've had to be number one in the AFC.
For me,
I
Yes.
don't think
MJ.
And they beat the 49ers.
No, MJ,
But
I'm
I don't
with
think
you,
he's
but
gonna
the way-
be-
When I see
I don't
John
think he's-
Harbaugh, I think of Eric Spoelstra. Excellent coaches that just won't get the Coach of the Year award. They just won't get it.
Yeah, and especially because the Coach of the Year
Shit,
award.
has he ever won
Right.
one?
Nobody's gonna get a Coach of the Year award for
Spoelstra?
doing what we expect you to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody's gonna get a Coach of the Year
Who
award
expect
for
them to
doing
be a
what we
number one
expect you to
seed
do.
though?
I expected them to have
expected
this.
them to
No. I expected them to have this many wins. I didn't think they was going to be the one seed because I thought the Chiefs were going to look much better than they have. That's the only reason why. But what are they? 11-3. If you go back and look at their schedule on paper, at most you probably think 10-4 at this point because with Lamar,
So
at the
49ers
very
win?
least, no, because I think what they're doing, what's it called? When you look at Shane Steichen and DeMeco Ryans,
I think it's his job to lose.
I think those two coaches,
Shane
Shane Steichen and DeMeco Ryans. To me, I think whoever's winning Coach of the Year depends on
mad
where they
at that.
where they end up in their seating. If the Colts make the
I ain't
playoffs and the Texans don't, it's going to Shane Steichen. If DeMeco Ryans gonna make the playoffs, it's going to DeMeco because
It's neck and neck
because
between
they-
them two right
yeah,
now because
because
they both
Shane
find a way to
Steichen-
win without their
yeah,
rookie
and Shane
quarterback.
Steichen doing with a backup, and the Texans we all just expected 4 games.
Yeah.
week 4 to 5.
After y'all go give y'all Coach of the Years, can I lead into the next question? What would it take for either one quick second? What would it take for either Reek or CMC to win the MVP? But continue with the Coaches of the Year. I like that. But I just want to know what would it take for Reek or CMC to win it? Because you brought up a point. Y'all said this is pretty much Lamar or Brock Purdy's MVP game. That's pretty much what y'all just said. But in my head, I'm thinking, shit, Brock Purdy, he's not even the best player on his team.
Talk about it.
Which is why I think Tyreek Hill should still be the MVP.
So what would it take?
He needs the record though. Tyreek needs the
You
record.
need the
I don't
record
think
now.
he needs the record.
You
I
need the
don't
record
think
now.
I think if he hits 19
or at least get 190.
he still deserves
What
it.
is Tyreek Hill at right now? What is Tyreek
He's
Hill
at
right
15 something right now.
1500.
He's still, I think
He
he's still a
probably will
couple.
hit 1700.
Yeah, he's still like
How many-
200 yards above whoever's next. I
How
think.
many yards a game does he need to average?
He was averaging like 125.
Like 100. He needs
Something
like
like that.
100 yards. 100.
Like
how many
missing
yards
a
a game
game
though?
is huge for him,
Yeah.
and then obviously not really playing
I think he needs
like well because he was
160.
hurt.
He's at 1542, right? So to get 2K specifically, he would need
50 yards.
458 yards. 458 yards.
Like
And there's how many
160 a
games left?
game?
How many
Three
games
Week
left?
16 right now. So it's
Now,
like, what?
does he get 160 a game? Probably not. Who do they play? Well, actually, who do they
The
play?
Cowboys. They play Cowboys next.
Okay, it's not happening. It's over.
Tyreek
It's
Hill is
happening.
not
It's over.
playing. I don't think Tyreek Hill's playing.
Unless they put Bland on him because he might get cooked.
No. Listen,
Yeah, I think it's over with. That record's
From
gone.
what
He's
I
not
saw,
doing it.
from what I saw.
Okay, but here's the thing,
Let's
though.
be clear.
So,
From
fine,
what I
let's
saw, Tyreek Hill is not playing next game.
Yeah, okay, so
Then
it's
he's
over.
cooked.
His
Okay,
MVP
so then
is
if Tyreek Hill does not play, Jalen Hurts didn't win MVP after missing 2 games. He's not getting it if he misses a second game. So then at that point, it should be CMC, but with precedent, CMC has not really done anything
And he's also missed a couple
historic.
games.
Yeah, the
CMC
numbers
has
are
not-
Couple games.
CMC has not done anything historic to win that award.
Yeah,
the
the
last
numbers aren't
running
there.
back to win that award, if I'm not mistaken,
Adrian
was
Peterson.
Adrian
and what did
Peterson.
he do?
He
After
almost
tearing his
broke
ACL,
the rushing record.
Right?
I ain't gonna say he ain't done nothing historic.
No, I'm saying historic enough
crazy.
to win. No, historic enough to win the award.
See, GB,
Wait,
That's my That's my
Because
that's
you're
my
counting that touchdown record.
Yeah.
That's from last year too.
No.
MJ.
I'm talking. Key point. historic enough to
Bro,
win.
McCaffrey.
Yes,
No,
12 yards
I
and
hear
13
what you're
touchdowns so far.
saying,
It's not special.
but it's relative. So for me, when it comes to, because I was thinking about it, and every time I think about Purdy, even though I was like in the beginning of the year, I was like, it's possible he can win it, but I never thought he was going to win it. And every time I think about Purdy winning the MVP, I'm like, bro, I don't think he's the third best offensive player on his team. So it always throws me off when it comes to the 49ers. And it literally solidifies the idea that best quarterback, best team, anything else doesn't matter. Because even Patrick Mahomes, he's the best offensive player on his team. Aaron Rodgers, the best offensive player on his team. Lamar Jackson, best offensive player of his team. Purdy's not even top 3. So now it's really just a quarterback award.
It really is.
But my thing for CMC, because I looked into it, yes, CMC is not having a historical season. Neither is like Lamar or Purdy. But yes, CMC is not having a historical season. But his stats and his performance compared to the second best running back is far in between. Like he has
Wait.
about
Say
like
that again. Say that again.
his performance, his stats compared to the second best running back in terms of stats is far in between. So he has I think he has around 1,300 rushing yards. Second place is around 900. So he's about 300 rushing yards above second place.
So you're saying based on position, the gap is
the gap between McCaffrey and the rest of the field is huge right now.
Much bigger than the quarterbacks. Much bigger than the quarterbacks.
I just
like,
feel
obviously we know he's having a hella touchdowns. He may finish with maybe 25 touchdowns this season.
Mostert got 20 by himself.
That would be a close to a record. He'd be top 5 all time in terms of total touchdowns. So that's something you can bring up. But his value, his performance compared to his position, and the fact that he's the most important player on the best team in football in terms of the offense, like McCaffrey, yes, quarterback is favored more, but I don't see a case for Purdy other than just being the quarterback on the team, especially compared to McCaffrey as of right now.
I think the toughest part, Bama, is that this year was like the one year it felt like there's no dominant quarterback to take the award, right? Whether it was Mahomes, let's just say Mahomes was it 12-2 right now. I think with how bad his core is, and if he was 12-2, it'd be his, no problem. But the problem is just that there's no dominant quarterback take the award. That we also have to account for the times now. If Cooper Kupp didn't win MVP after having the historical season he did, and they didn't, he was even like number 2 in MVP consideration. I don't remember, but if he doesn't get that, and the last time a non-quarterback won the award.
I was about to say,
to be fair, Aaron
Rodgers literally went 37-4.
Yeah.
Not only did he have a great season, Randall, because I'm with you.
Yeah.
But not only did he have a great season, but also he was by far the best player on his team.
Yeah. So
and then Tom Brady that year too, who was second, threw 5K again, 43-12.
The only reason I'm saying that is because right now it feels like the only way a non-quarterback can win that award is that you have to legitimately do something that nobody at your position has ever done before, basically. So CMC has to have an Adrian Peterson type season. Like Tyreek Hill, if he doesn't get hurt, I think we're looking at him. He's at the way he was going when he's at 1,700 right now.
Yeah. If he doesn't get hurt.
Yeah, and we're sitting there because right now he's still 200 yards above AJ Brown in terms of his receiving yards. So you have to break the 2K was so important because I sat there and I said this 2 weeks ago. If Tyreek Hill gets 2K and you look at him right in the face and then give that MVP award to Brock Purdy or Lamar, then no non-quarterback's ever going to win MVP. No non-quarterback is.
I think we have to realize now.
I mean, I knew that last year. I knew that when Cooper Kupp got the Triple Crown, and
for
non-quarterback, it was crazy. But this will be even worse. Like this will 100% be even worse for a quarterback to win an award this year.
Maybe Early's right. And you just give a quarterback like a Cy Young type award. Like this is just for the best quarterback, and then MVP becomes more.
I'm gonna say this,
I think
y'all, bro.
George Kittle was talking about it too when it comes to MVP.
There's been a lot of good quarterback play, but this probably been the worst year for quarterbacks.
This is the
in a long time. A lot of
quarterbacks,
low key since since 2010, 09. Like that's how long I think it's been. You could probably take it back further to 07, low key.
Yeah, but the thing is though, McCaffrey and Tyreek had a chance to really win it this year because of the how down the quarterback year is compared to other years, and no quarterback throwing for 5,000 or 40 plus touchdowns, things of that nature. But the problem is with Tyreek, he got hurt. If he didn't get hurt, I thought he would probably be first.
I think he would have broken the record in 16 games, and then that last game would have just been him padding stats.
Exactly, and it was CMC. It's just the numbers aren't quite there at any sort of historic level for him to kind of deserve. Like if they go back and see, okay, he rushed for 1,400 yards, 16 touchdowns. That's cool, but is it an MVP caliber season? So that's the problem now. If Tyreek doesn't break the record, I think it's
I don't know, 1,500 rushing yards.
Does McCaffrey have a chance to do 1,000?
He might have he definitely will have over 2,000, maybe over 2,200 scrimmage yards.
I'm thinking like the 1,000,
25 touchdowns,
rushing yards, and 1,000
all-time great running back season.
You know what I think too? You know what I think? I think this is gonna sound so disrespectful, and I don't mean to sound disrespectful. I am prefacing my comments because I am not trying to discredit McCaffrey. But I genuinely feel I genuinely feel if quarterback play was just up to regular, like maybe nobody going stupid, but just people playing at that level, I don't think he would be in the conversation at all. I don't think he would have ever been brought up in that conversation.
He's cooked,
I mean, look.
In terms of MVP, this year,
in terms of MVP, I don't think he would have ever been brought up. I think of Mahomes, Jalen, Burrow, if all of them would have just played at regular level, at the regular level.
If Josh Allen was winning more games,
bro, I think. If Josh Allen won more games, it'd be his award.
If Josh Allen had a 10-4 record instead of a 8-6 record, he'd be the MVP.
Yeah, he's the MVP.
Look, if McCaffrey has 3 touchdowns against the Ravens, if he has a 3-touchdown game, then he probably gets bumped to first. Right now, it's a week-to-week basis.
But see, to me, I don't think one game.
You need something eye-opening, Jalen. They're gonna give it to a quarterback.
To what Odell said though.
Move you up and down though.
I hear you. It's so close. It's so close this year. One game. It's literally moving every week.
I guess what people care
guess
about.
What? Last week was Dak Prescott was in the lead. Last week, Dak Prescott was going to be like, okay, he's the guy. If he won last week's game and had a great game, he would have a kind of a significant lead MVP. But
if he beat the 49ers, he would have been locked.
Exactly. Right there. But
I think I don't think he would have a significant lead, Jalen, because we will all just go back. Remember when you play the 49ers, and Brock Purdy has done nothing to make his MVP case even less. If anything, there's a stat. Hold on, Bama, real quick. There's a stat about Brock Purdy. I believe he's top 5 in passing yards, yet he's last in pass attempts.
That's impressive.
So I'm
Giro brought out a stat in terms of leading in terms of yards. I think what was it? Either yards after catch or just total yards, but not being able to get past 10 yards. But he's still like high in terms of passing yards.
I was about to say because this stat was for a game. I don't know. I think it was the one where they beat the Eagles. All them yards he had one throw past 10 yards from the line of scrimmage.
The way the Eagles played,
a lot of them throws were like 7-8 yards or below. Yeah. 2 of his touchdowns were 5 yards or below.
The way the Eagles played, he didn't need to do that.
That slant to Debo that he took was a 3-yard slant.
It's like Eli Manning's numbers. He would throw a 5-yard slant to Odell, and he would take it 80 yards. It was
why do we have to bring up Eli Manning?
I'm just saying.
I just want to ask y'all this real quick. Mm-hmm. If the rest of these quarterbacks just go to shit, Purdy, Lamar, Dak, Tua, everybody just play like shit these last 2 games, and McCaffrey or some other skill positions, I guess, have the 2 best games of their season. Do another position win.
It should.
So hypothetically. I know it probably won't happen.
Yeah, but with your hypothetical, if Tyreek plays this week, it should go to Tyreek because he's been the most non-quarterback consistent offensive player all year. He's been the most consistent.
Ironically, I think they need like a Heisman moment game. Like they need a really loud game. And then all of a sudden, like people will be like, why are we not going to give the MVP to McCaffrey or Tyreek? Because if Tyreek comes back and he gets 200, let's say just gets 200 on the Cowboys, scores a couple touchdowns, people will be like, that's it. That's the guy. Especially in your hypothetical.
Which he could if he really wanted to. He could.
Glad they ain't covering him.
I will bring up another name. So I was surprised when I was looking up some information regarding McCaffrey. Kyron Williams, despite missing multiple games, is 4th in the league in rushing yards. He is 4th in the league in rushing yards after missing multiple games.
Because he's averaging 5-6 yards a carry?
Yeah, he's going nuts. If he played all the games, he could have broke 2K.
I don't know about
hold on, but 2K.
I don't know about 2K,
but hold on, real quick, Riddell. 2K don't hit the same because when Henry did it, what MVP consideration was he getting?
No, he was definitely in
No, he was getting
consideration.
MVP consideration, but did we really believe he was going to win the award?
Well, there was a chance, but who won it that year? Because I
I'm
think
trying
that
to
person was that not the year Mahomes went stupid? Was that not that year?
I thought it was the
2K?
year after that.
Let me double check. I'll double check.
By the way,
but
if
Derrick
Henry
Henry
doesn't get
definitely
hurt,
got consideration.
yeah, if Derrick Henry
this
doesn't
is
get
the
hurt
best-
that next
this is
year,
the
he was
best
going to
time
do
they
it. He was
hit
going to do
2K.
back-to-back 2K, I think, because he when he got hurt, he had 1100. I think
This was
when he got hurt.
2020. This was 2020. So who won the MVP 2020? Aaron Rodgers, because he went what 45-4.
Oh Jesus Christ! So
Yeah, but he definitely got consideration.
I know he got consideration, but it was like one of those that's like I think it's
48-5. I'm sorry, he went 48-5.
I think he's cooked because if you have to have that 1 year where all the quarterbacks don't play as well, plus you have a few big injuries at the quarterback position, and you have to have a historic season as a non-quarterback, you're cooked. Just make it an award for quarterbacks. Just do that. Call it the Joe Montana Award and give it to the best quarterback. So that MVP can actually be what it says, most valuable player. Because even Purdy said it himself.
Quarterbacks are inherently most valuable, though.
Usually, but also too, we all know
that.
that for years, nobody ever follows most valuable because there are players that are more valuable to their team than some of these guys winning it, but they don't have the record to show for it and they never win it. Because if we go by the stigma of who's most valuable, you would see a lot more MVP winners on losing teams.
No,
a lot more.
Because that wouldn't mean they valuable then, G baby.
Well, because if you take them, if you let's just say this, if you take away, look at the Chiefs team right now. Just saying it. Take away Mahomes. How bad is that team?
That is the first round pick.
But,
that is the first round pick.
How bad is that team?
But look,
that's what makes him valuable.
He shows his value though, random, like because he's able to win. We can literally sit there and be like, he is the reason they are a playoff team and why they are able to go to the Super Bowl. If you look at somebody like a Kyle Pitts or something like that, or a Bijan, you can sit there and be like, yeah, those boys are the most valuable players on the team. But they production really don't lead you. They would need
Bama, here's a rebuttal to that. Bama, here's my little rebuttal to that. Because this is why I say I think if you're gonna go most valuable, when I look at most valuable, it's like if you take this person off that team, how big is the drop off? So I'm going to hit you, which is why I say, because you said that, well, that's where they show their value by the winning. So I'm going to ask you a genuine question. Who to you do you think is more valuable to their team? Brock Purdy or Matthew Stafford?
Easy Stafford. Come on.
Right? But even though now they just got up to a 7-7 record, but San Francisco 11-3, right? But that's my thing. Most valuable, I look at if your team if you take this player off that team, how big is the drop off? If you took Brock Purdy off that team, we've already seen for years that the drop off isn't big because Jimmy G came in there, was perfectly fine. You could throw pretty much any top 15 quarterback there, and they might not run the same plays, but they'll be just fine. You take Matt Stafford off the Rams, the next level guy or the next guy they have on their roster, that's a pretty big drop off.
So Prodigy said Tyreek more valuable than Tua. Go ahead, Random.
Oh, I was going to say.
We know.
Whoa.
Yeah. I think Tua
is more valuable than Tyreek.
Whoa. I disagree.
Yeah.
No, don't get me wrong.
Just because they won that one game, don't let
I was about to
you.
say, Tua played great against a defense that's been making quarterbacks look bad all year. So I'll give Tua that, but no.
I do think Tua deserves. If we're gonna go this whole quarterback should win it, whatever, all that kind of BS with Brock Purdy, Tua should be in the same conversation. I'm not gonna lie, Tua should be.
If Tua wins this week, I wouldn't be surprised.
But the thing is, Tua hasn't been mentioned in these MVP talks at all. And
I think
one game behind
if Tua wins this week, he's in there. If he wins, he might legitimately be the front runner. If he wins,
he was front runner in the beginning of the season.
I think he might legitimately be the front runner if he beats the Cowboys. He might be the front runner.
If he beats because his stats are still like arguably the best in the league right now. So I don't want to vote for Tua or Purdy, but if Purdy's in the conversation,
if we look at precedent, like my thing is, I'm not gonna sit here and act like precedent ain't gonna play a factor.
Come on, bro.
Of course.
Precedent is gonna play a factor, and so quarterback might win it this year. We still might get a year where quarterback wins it, but like, should he? No.
So
this is like an anomaly. This is like an anomaly year because every other year, even when Derrick Henry went crazy, Aaron Rodgers won it that year, nobody was complaining.
So quick question. What I mean? Yeah, quick question for everybody. Yeah. Then, who do you think is your actual most valuable player? Because I think, in my opinion, it might just be Josh Allen.
It should have been Tyreek Hill, but it's actually Myles Garrett.
Mahomes. He's won games for them. It
should it should be for me. If you were telling me to pick my vote, only reason why I wouldn't give it to Tyreek is because he's about to make his second straight game, and I don't think Myles Garrett's missed one.
And he's been hurt too. Did he mess up his shoulder or something?
Something like that. So, and he's still playing. The exact thing, but
he won the Colts game by himself.
Yeah, if it was me, I'd be giving it to Myles Garrett because they are still in the playoff race and second in their division.
They might clinch this week.
Yeah, they might clinch a berth this week because of him.
By the way, I don't think
he's the main reason.
I don't think a defensive player is ever going to win the MVP again.
Yeah, if JJ Watt didn't win it, he's not going to win it. Yeah, if JJ Watt didn't win it that year, where he caught 5 touchdown passes,
and he was top 5 in sacks, right? He was top 5 in sacks.
Like if JJ Watt didn't win it, I gave up on defensive winning MVP.
Quick super chat, fellas, and then we'll get into the next subject. Nick from Tri-State with the $5. Feel your logic, G baby. MVP is a win award. 2, only reason Stafford not going to get MVP is a win award. 2, only reason Stafford not going to get any consideration. The 7 wins. If the Rams was 10-4, different story. I want y'all to weigh in on this and Thursday Night Football, Saints versus Rams. Dude.
If the Rams were 10-4, I think McVay's the coach of the year.
No, I think McVay's another.
He'd be in the discussion though. He'd be because it's the same argument with D'Amico and Shane. Nobody thought they would be here,
but
if they were 10-4.
No first round picks, baby.
Facts.
Hey, F them picks look good, but now you need them picks. I bought the shirt, so I got it.
They can low-key still make the playoffs though, and you
actually they play the Saints right now. The Saints are the 7th seed or 6th seed, and
let me check.
Rams I got it right here.
So this is huge for playoffs for the Rams.
The Saints are the 9th seed. The Rams are the 7th. But literally. Yes, he is. But literally, because obviously you have your division winner. Literally 6 through 9 are all tied at 7-7.
Rams got to win, and I believe they will.
If the Rams make the playoffs, what's the reason why you don't give Sean McVay the coach of the year?
Because Shane Steichen and D'Amico Ryans made the playoffs. No, because Shane Steichen and D'Amico Ryans had a little bit more to overcome. And if we're being honest, Sean McVay had been talked about all year. For him to then all of a sudden randomly start winning, if he's not in the conversation beginning of the year or like midway through, he ain't gonna get it.
If he beats the Ravens, we'll be talking about him like that.
At the end of the day,
I mean, I still say they bailed by a punt return because the Ravens were about to lose that game. The way they were playing and the momentum, they were about to lose that game. But
that punt return is great.
Special teams matters too.
But
what about Stefanski? We don't give the Browns coach any love either. And
again, he ain't been in the convo all year.
But
that's really what it's been. He ain't been in the convo all year.
One of the commentators said a quarter of their cap is on IR right now.
But random, you're adding a lot of context that they don't care about. When it comes down to it, the expectation versus the reality is the biggest determiner in terms of coach of the year. And D'Amico Ryans and Shane Steichen with especially Shane Steichen without his rookie quarterback and D'Amico Ryans being the team that nobody expected to be good. Like their narrative is too strong. Similar.
The Browns are on Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco is that Browns offense.
But random, that narrative came midway into the year. This Shane Steichen and D'Amico Ryans, because let's be real, narrative plays a part in it. Yeah, that Texans narrative was there since week 1. And it was like, CJ might be a dude. Oh, okay. And then they beat the Jags. And it was like, okay. They might be better.
Because there's multiple people that you could argue has a coach of the year conversation, like Kevin Stefanski for sure. He went through like 3 quarterbacks and they just kept on winning games. But Shane Steichen, D'Amico Ryans are solid. And the stuff regarding Matthew Stafford, I'm going to shift it a little bit. If Kirk Cousins was healthy all season, he would be the MVP. I stamp that.
I disagree with that.
he was playing the best football in terms of the beginning of the year.
Well, that means Jettis is going off, right?
Great against the best teams, the Chiefs.
Well, Jettis wouldn't be there, and so
yeah, but Jordan Addison and him rocking.
Jordan Addison is nice, but I don't think Kirk Cousins would be the MVP.
No, he did well without Jefferson, though. He did well without Jefferson.
Did Jefferson get hurt before Kirk got hurt?
I think Kirk got hurt. I think Kirk was only out one game or only played one game without Justin Jefferson.
And that's the one where they beat the 49ers.
Yeah, they did beat him.
So
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not going.
And the current Vikings playing better with the Brian Flores, with the defense playing better, the offensive line playing better, and the run game is still terrible. I'm not gonna.
What was the second part of that super chat, Bama? He asked us about a game, right?
Yeah, I asked about the Thursday night football, Rams versus Saints. To lean into it because he was just saying with the Rams.
I think the Rams are the better team. The Rams are the better team, in my opinion. Every time it's like I have no belief that I get surprised every time Derek Carr plays well now, and I
he actually played well last game.
He did play well, but it's like that's for some reason to me it feels like it's more of the anomaly than what has actually been going on. And are they at New Orleans for that game?
I don't think it matters. Derek Carr could still be.
Yeah. So the Rams have, in my opinion, the better quarterback, the better coach, running back. And at this point right now, I know if people don't want to hear it, it's a toss up. And Puka's a bet. I think Puka low key might be the best receiver on the field.
Okay, so it is. Relax.
Because Derek Carr's not gonna. Because Derek Carr will hamper the Saints.
No. Cooper Kupp is still the best.
Yeah, relax, gang. Like they gonna feed Puka, and Cooper Kupp has missed. Cooper Kupp has missed like what 6 games this year. Like so, yeah. Puka, the one when he ain't there. But
I don't know, man. I saw that diving catch in the rain.
And that was adorable, man. And Cooper Kupp is still
adorable.
That might be the catch of the year. You are disrespectful.
Okay,
so let me catch of the year.
I'm sorry. Let me
no gloves.
It was a great catch, but the reason I said it was adorable because that's nice. It doesn't mean he's better than Cooper Kupp.
Sir, that might be the catch.
Cooper Kupp. It might be.
I ain't gonna say Cooper Kupp, but I'm not gonna lie. He's showing his skills off.
That he's a guy.
The way he wears no gloves and the way he's able to catch the ball wearing no gloves in the NFL. I don't think you guys understand. When it comes to catching the ball in the NFL versus college, that no stripe on the ball, that little white line in college, I don't think y'all know how much of a cheat that is.
Huge.
For him to be able to go out there and track the ball the way he does without gloves. Do y'all know how hard that NFL football is? Pause. Like, it's hard, ultra slick, like dog. I don't know, bro. I feel random, bro.
Bama, I'm with you.
No,
but do you think if he did wear gloves, he wouldn't lead the league in drops in the NFL?
Puka lead the league in drops?
Yeah.
He wears gloves too. He does wear gloves, but what I'm saying is he stands out because this is like the first time of me seeing receivers just not wearing gloves, like since what? My boy that played for the Raiders.
Like early 90s?
Yeah, who my boy that played for the Raiders? Tim Brown. I think that's the last receiver that didn't wear gloves, bro.
Like, I give it to you. I like Puka.
So the thing about Puka, like Puka is a guy. Puka, and I'm not gonna hold you because I think I watch a good amount of college football. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't think he was gonna be this. And then for the people who don't watch college football like that, I don't think they knew who this man was. Right? I didn't think he was gonna be this. So he's a guy. I'll give you that. He's a guy, top 25, whatever you want to say.
What school he went to? I didn't know who the hell.
BYU.
Let me find out.
Was it not? Was it not BYU?
Wow.
Or am I mixing up?
Yes, it is BYU. It is BYU.
I was gonna say. I could have sworn it was. Like I'm saying, like I wasn't watching no BYU games. I'm not gonna sit here and cap about that. I wasn't watching no BYU games. I could care less. I knew the name, but I wasn't watching no BYU. I didn't think he was gonna be this though. And he's showing he's got because let's remember Cooper Kupp started the year on IR. So we was like, dang, they rolling with Tutu
fantastic.
They rolling with Tutu and Tyler Higbee. And then this Puka the cool guy shows up, and it's like, oh, who's this? And then he kept doing it. And then when Cooper Kupp came back, that was the thing because Matt Stafford off the rip. Cooper Kupp is this guy. When Cooper Kupp came back, Puka Nacua is still eating. Puka Nacua is still doing his thing. So it's like, okay, you guys might have just drafted a gem. Because the man can run routes. He's got really good hands. He lead the league of drops, but I mean that's always
his stats are
I mean,
crazy.
he's still good. He's still good.
His stats are crazy. 87 catches for 1,163 yards. I wish he could score more touchdowns, but that just might be because once they get inside the goal line,
keeps taking the ball.
they're running the ball.
Williams, man, he came out of nowhere too. The Rams just had like 3 players that came out of nowhere.
They're great drafters.
I'm not going to say he came out of nowhere. Now that was one person because y'all know I'm a running back head. I was watching him at Notre Dame. He had like A1 vision, bro. Like I was kind of upset because I think he got hurt his rookie year. His initial rookie year last year, he got hurt or something. So he wasn't able to play. And I think they were still kind of experimenting with
Cam Akers.
So they were still trying to give him a chance. And the other dude,
Henderson, was
he fell off oh my God, talk about cliffs. Oh my Lord, bro. Like he jumped off the Titanic, Darrell Henderson. Like, because he was actually serviceable. And then once Cam Akers went trash, it's just like both of them together, boom, trash. Like, and then
Kyron took his job and got him kicked out the team. Crazy.
Yeah,
that's some dog stuff right there.
That's why I do like Kyron Williams. I was just waiting on him to start doing what he's doing right now. I think, like you say, that'll be good if they make it to the playoffs. I know you're a Saints fan, G baby, but
if you look at that Rams team, it's not bad at all.
It's not at all. Even with I'm just talking about.
It's not that bad.
Right
now.
You
got 2 good receivers. You got a mid tight end, a good running back.
I'm gonna keep it real. Going into this season, G baby, if you just looking at it, all bias aside, all the nasty shit. Keep it real. Even with Derek Carr, that looked like that was going to be a promising team, bro. Like,
yes, bro.
They should be easily the best team in that division. They should be the best team in that division.
I'm going to repeat what I said because, sometimes people get caught in, this your team, yada, yada, yada. When we signed Derek, or when we knew we were signing Derek Carr, I came on this platform and they were like, G, baby, how you feel about Derek Carr as your new quarterback? I said I was mildly optimistic. The reason I said I was mildly optimistic is because he technically shouldn't be our quarterback. You want to know why he's our quarterback? Because he didn't perform well when he got Devontae on the Raiders. Literally coming off arguably his best year. And the thing that is so mind-blowing, I don't think some of y'all really understand how crazy it is to go through losing your top receiver because he wanted to be reckless, a coaching change in the middle of the year after coming out comments that, especially in this, heightened climate with social media everywhere.
Bro,
the comments that we found about John Gruden. Bro. Like literally anything that could have went wrong in Derek Carr in that year with Oakland. They still made the playoffs with Hunter Renfrow as his number one receiver.
Who was pointing an AK at the screen on Instagram.
First round draft pick, random.
Oh my God, that's a season from hell. Like they're gonna make a 30 for 30 on that team.
So I lived,
and they got rid of Amari Cooper.
I lived in Las Vegas. I lived off Southwest Maryland and East Hacienda, bro. That is literally 2 miles down the street from West Tropicana. Dog, I don't think y'all know that street Ruggs was driving down West Tropicana. That is an actual street with stoplights and shit. Like not 156, bro. That was crazy that Hollywood Brown was driving that on the freeway. He was driving that on the 303 in Arizona. That is crazy for the freeway. But if you live in Arizona, the 303 certain times of night is wide open. It's not too many people over at Scottsdale, over in that area. It's like the faraway. So I'll let that slide. But 156 down a regular street with stop signs and lights. I'm gonna let you know, driving 156 down those type of roads, the last thing you had in your head was stopping. I'm gonna just let you know that right there.
So you mix that with a coach that was having, I guess, some racist comments towards somebody. Yeah, literally
racist,
everything,
sexist, homophobic,
everything.
Hit the jackpot of emails, bro.
Remember that kickstarted Dan Snyder getting up out of there. That is what kickstarted it. You had all that, and you were still able to play well with Hunter Renfrow.
And crazy part is Dan Snyder was the one that leaked it. He's the one that leaked it, trying to protect himself.
Right? You had all that. You had all that. And this is when Josh Jacobs was still mid. You played better there, but then you get Josh Jacobs, the leading rusher, and you get Devontae, and you were trash. That's why I said I was mildly optimistic, because in a better situation, yes, Josh McDaniels trash, but with a better roster, you were still out there throwing nuts. So then we get to New Orleans. I'm like, okay, cool. We got Michael Thomas back. Olave's there. Kamara's still efficient. We good, because I knew our defense was going to be straight. Come to find out,
He
Pete
ain't gonna come out for 10
Carmichael
years.
fooled. I'm not gonna lie, Pete Carmichael fooled me because in the preseason, I'm like, okay, it seemed like he remembered how to call plays, and then we get here, and I'm like, okay, why is Derek Carr having 350 something passing yards but 1 touchdown because we can't convert in the red zone? Like there was games to start the year, it wasn't on Derek Carr. O-line was trash, Pete Carmichael, but then afterwards, I'm like, dude. All right, bro. Like, I can't.
Yeah, in the middle, later this season, I was
like,
like,
all right, bro.
Derek
Like,
Carr,
come on, gang. Like, and then Olave went through a slump. Like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, there was a lot of disconnect between Olave and Carr, and it was like, bro, the receiver quarterback dynamic was so toasted, bro. They did not mess with each other. The last couple of games, Olave could, of course.
Yeah,
but,
and that's what I'm saying. The Saints, the reason why I said I think if everything went right, we should be a 10-11 win team because I thought our schedule was light. There was a couple games that I pretty much was like, yeah, we're going to lose. I called the Jaguars loss. I called the Lions loss. But then we lost to we lost to somebody. Oh, we lost to the Packers. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I blew that game against.
I was like, okay, we might be in trouble. And then we went on like a 4-game losing streak. I'm like,
I think every time I looked at that division, I was like, the Saints are by far the best team, but it looks like the Bucks have been doing the best coaching.
They're playing
job.
better football.
They're playing way better football.
And my thing is,
I told you about Baker.
This is why I'm saying.
I was wrong about Baker.
And this will be the last thing I say about the Saints because ain't nobody trying to talk about the Saints for thousands of years. Last thing I'll say about them, bro. The part that frustrates me the most is that we can't tank for a better first round pick because we're technically still in hunt for the division. Because we still got to play the Bucks one more time.
You're half game back, right?
Division. Yes,
you're half game back, right?
Because they have the tiebreaker. So
walking into New Orleans and beating y'all like that was crazy.
Oh yeah, they blew you out. None of the Buccaneers blew you out. Like,
bro, we literally got a pick, and then the next play fumble in the red zone. Like we literally
did Brady win in New Orleans when he was there?
He did his last year, but the first 2 years he didn't.
Yeah, like I was like, that's what I thought was crazy.
Hey,
his last year he did.
Go around real quick. Let me get some score projections so I can ask my next question. G baby, you.
Gosh darn it. I felt I'm not gonna pick against my team because I'm still with them. We haven't lost the division yet, so I'm still gonna rock with them for this season. But I'll say like 24-20. Like it's not gonna be nothing crazy. Yeah, I'm gonna pick the Saints because it's a must win. Screw it.
I'm gonna go 28-14. I'm a Rams believer. It could be closer. It could be a touchdown difference, but I'm gonna go 28-14.
Jalen?
I'm gonna go Saints too. I think it'll be 24-21, winning a field goal. I think it'll be a close game for sure.
Randall?
I'm gonna go 27-13. Like it's gonna be close the whole time, but then the Rams just pull away late.
This leads me to my next question. Without talking about the quarterback, I was looking at something earlier on Instagram where they do like the little play breakdowns on defense and stuff, and it stood out to me. They showed J.C. Jackson with the Chargers, and then they showed J.C. Jackson with the Patriots. And if you constantly looked at him they just showed up how he lined up and pretty much tried to show you the play call, the scheme, how they were scheming him. If you look at J.C. Jackson, it was like they was forcing him to sit there and play off cover 3 all day and night with the Chargers, and he's not that type of guy. He's not that type of guy. And we saw this earlier in the season during his training camp when we saw Trayvon Diggs trying to play press man to man. He looked horrible because why? He's an off man guy. So we see that. We know that some of these guys are really specialists in the NFL. You might have a man-to-man specialist, and you might have a zone specialist. So that brings up my next question. Was it really Brandon Staley to blame, or was it the defensive coordinator? Because if you sit there and look at that, because Asante Samuel, when he was playing press man-to-man, I know it's college, bro. I know it's college. But he was one of the best DBs in the country. For him to have that good as a rookie year when they normally let them play similar schemes to what they played in college, for him to have a solid rookie year and then just fall off the planet to where it don't even look like his daddy was Asante Samuel. Like, it doesn't even look like that's his real dad, bro. I really feel like, is it the defensive coordinator or I know y'all say Brandon Staley is the guru, bro, but I know in the NFL they got coordinators for a reason. Like, those are the guys that's supposed to be You know,
I would agree with you on that, Bama, if he wasn't the one calling the plays. He's the one that's going out there calling the plays, telling him to get in that cover 3. That's why it is Brandon Staley. Now, don't get me wrong. Even when he went back to New England, he got cooked a couple times. So J.C. Jackson has some part to play too, but Brandon Staley is there. Like, I know I don't want to sound like a recycle bin with all the takes that's been said, but there's no way you spend that much money on that defense to be one of the worst, and it's not your problem. Like, I'm sorry, there's no way. Bro, there is no way you look and you think Derwin James, Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa, J.C. Jackson, Asante Samuel Jr., and Kenneth Murray. Like, there's no way you have all them dudes.
They got some guys,
and you're one of the worst defenses of the league. Like, you ain't got to be elite. You don't got to be top 5.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But like, you shouldn't be a worse defense than the Texans. You shouldn't be a worse defense than, I don't know, the Cardinals. Like, you shouldn't be that.
You should be able to at least be the 2020 Bengals.
Thank you.
The tough part is, Bama, is that Staley is also a defensive guy. So, like, if we, like, for instance, if Zach Taylor, the coach of the Bengals, if Joe Burrow was there and that offense was ass, we'd be blaming him too, because that's what you're good at. I understand you have a coordinator, but that's your specialty side too. And I don't need to add on to everything that G Baby said. It's just that obviously he was on the hottest of hot seats anyway, right? And the fact that whether or not because obviously the GM, that there's a reason why him and the GM got fired at the same time, because they both collaborated on that. Choosing J.C. Jackson turns out to be one of the worst free agency decisions we've seen in a minute, right? And the fact that, like, you really just can't be that bad. Like, you have names all over the defense, and you can't say, oh, they've been injured, because the Ravens find a way to still be a good defense with all the injuries. Like, other teams, like, so this isn't something new. It's just the fact that he calls the plays, he's a defensive guy, and your side of the ball is putrid. Because G-Baby can tell you how many times we watched them Saints trot out really bad defenses for Drew Brees. But the reason why you tolerate a little bit, because you at least had Drew Brees, and that offense was good.
Mm-hmm. And then the second they got a defensive coordinator, what happened? Literally a year's difference. It went from being horrible to elite.
Every Saints fan can tell you, every year they'd be like, let's just fucking find the right guy to call the defense, please. That's all they were asking the whole time, because at least on Sean Payton's side of the ball, they were good. So that's what really hurts Brandon Staley as well.
I just think whether it's fair or not, I think the coach is going to get most of the blame when a team performs that badly. Like, we can understand that, sure, they could have issues in the defense side of the ball in terms of the personnel. But again, when you're losing that bad again, I think that was just a nail in the coffin. It was kind of building up to it. If they lost by like a field goal, I think he probably still might have had his job. But the fact that it was, 60 points dropped on him by a team.
Don't even let him coach the second half.
Yeah, but by a team like the Raiders too. Not even by like a Mahomes or a Jalen Hurts or Tua, but by the Raiders and their quarterback.
That Raiders core is out here looking like Joe Montana.
Exactly.
Like, what are we talking about?
It was just one of those.
And it's
for me, when it comes down to that, when it comes down to it, I agree with a lot of what y'all are saying. I would say the Raiders-Chargers game is more of they just gave up on him, kind of like the Denver Broncos situation.
It felt that way.
They kind of just gave up and just didn't want to play. But it was bad. Like, it reflected on how much lack of faith they had in Staley. And I, like, at the end of the day, with all the talent they had, and I like some of the young talent, like Thule as well, and how bad they performed, it says something when you have a different coach in a different situation. With the Minnesota Vikings, with Brian Flores, with that personnel not being good, it's not that talented. And last year, they were one of the worst defensives in the league. And then this year, even though they didn't start out great, they became a better defense progressively and became a legit defense that can do its job when the situation requires. Tells how well Brian Flores schemed that team and how well his schemes were working for that defense in particular with a lack of talent. So when you take that into account, and then you see the Chargers with everything that Random said, with him being a defensive identity, his moniker is a defensive.
Plus, he had that Sean McVay stink on him too. Identity. The Sean McVay glow when he got hired, because where's it, like, after they won that championship, right? It felt like if you had a cup of coffee with Sean McVay, you're getting some kind of coaching job in the NFL. Zach Taylor, that's how Zach Taylor got his job. Joe Staley got his job, or Brandon Staley. So it's like he also had that in. Zach Taylor's flourishing. This is, if anything, he beat allegations this year with what he's done with the Bengals.
Because before this
He
year,
beat allegations.
he was definitely suspect for sure.
So people were questioning him all the time. And also the worst part about this entire conversation is that they fired Anthony Lynn, and I was looking at like defensive rankings for all these different things, and it is the same except the rookie year of Justin Herbert, where the defense was actually not that bad, and then you have obviously a terrible next year, and then it got worse with Brandon Staley, even though he's supposed to be the better defensive mind. That's
a perfect example that I just thought about. We look at from last year to this year, even if you want to talk about schedule, the Eagles. They got all this talent on the team.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they was looking suspect. Last year, they looked dominant, of course. This year, they started playing some tougher teams and with better offenses, yeah. But we could all agree that we think the Cowboys' defense is better than the Eagles, at least this season, right? We can all pretty much agree with that. Mm-hmm. I saw Geno Smith tear up that defense, right? Saw Geno Smith tear up that defense. Now, granted, yes, it is what's it called? It is Drew Lock, and I think they called the game a little differently. But when I found out Matt Patricia was calling the defense, I was like, oh, this might save y'all. Because if you just watch that game, even though I get it's Drew Lock, I get it's different. But this is a defense that's been getting cooked all year. Mac Jones played relatively well against them. You know what I mean? Like, this is a defense that's been getting destroyed all year. And they just looked, well, except for Bradbury, they just looked so much better as a unit.
Why were you pressing?
I don't know, but
especially after DK cooked you the play before.
Honestly, Bradbury got saved by the fact that they had a great defense last year, and he didn't have to guard the ones all the time because Bradbury. There's a reason he was cut the first time.
I wish MJ was here. I always want to ask him how CJ Gardner-Johnson not being there, how much that affected their defense.
I don't necessarily think him not being there hurt as much. Granted, he had the picks and he got to play a true safety position, which I think he was really excited for. But I think the problem is the coordinators. Where is Shane Steichen right now?
Dominating with the Colts.
Coaching the Colts. Coaching up the Colts.
And whoever that defensive play caller was before was because Matt Patricia, we killed him for being the
Jonathan Gannon and what he's doing with the Arizona Cardinals.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said Shane Steichen. I meant Jonathan Gannon.
Okay.
Jonathan Gannon, what he's doing with the Arizona Cardinals should be
praised. Yeah, that's what
a terrible team.
That's what but like I look at once Matt Patricia took over, I was like, okay, this might help y'all out. Because say what you want about Matt Patricia when he was the OC. The reason why we were tripping is because, bro, this is a defensive coach. Why is he calling offensive plays?
I'll argue with Trent till the day I die about this. I don't know how he just disregards that when it comes to Mac Jones. I'm not saying Mac Jones is good,
disregards it, random.
But like, I'm sorry, bro. He's a defensive coordinator calling offensive plays.
I mean, I definitely think it did hurt his development.
It definitely did.
We all hurt his development.
With a rookie going into his transition year, usually that sophomore year is when all rookies experience a slump. That is when you really don't need an offensive coordinator the rookie year because no one has film. They pretty much playing off of their college instincts. They still in shape from college, all of that different type of stuff. That sophomore year is when a better coach is really crucial. Now these guys got film on you. Now you got to teach these guys, hey, this is what you're seeing now. This is why these guys is rolling like this. Hey, when you start to call a hike, when you do white 80, this is when these guys start to shift. This is what you need to do. This is how you find the Mike linebacker. You got to do all of this stuff over and over and over. For him to have Matt Patricia or whoever he had, bro, that was just a disservice to him. Y'all can say, oh, he's not athletic, all of that, cool. But if you got a quarterback that's not athletic, you want to try to put him in the best position to succeed, bro. And they just really just sat out there and just really let Mac fall flat on his face. I want to go back to another one since we're talking about the Indianapolis Colts. Kazee Deshaun Kazee got ejected, but got suspended the rest of the season for the hit he put on Michael Pittman. Me, myself, personally, I was thinking about that because even though it looked bad, it did look bad. But coming from the time era I came from, Ray Lewis, B-Dog, Troy Polamalu, Jeremiah Trotter, bro, it was really some real crazy hitters out there. Pat Willis, these dudes was hitting. I feel like, do y'all feel like that helmet is like a little bit too Two police. I get it. I understand. No disrespect to the guys that's died from CTE. I know the effects of what it does to the brain. Junior Seau, all of these guys. But at the end of the day, we know what we signed up for. We sign a waiver. We know what this type of sport it is. Is it a disservice how hard they policing the helmet now?
I think because hold on, GB. I think let me add this. I think the fact that the NFL was caught hiding the effects of concussions, and they had to pay $1 billion settlement to past players. Like the NFL at every single point, because at some point, like the media was like, "Do we need football?" Which is dumb. That's such a dumb argument to even question to even ask. But ever since then, they just can't take the hit. The same way they were the NFL, for as great as an organization it is, it makes a lot of really bad decisions. Whether it's charging the military to have them fly the flag before the game and do the national anthem, they were caught doing that. Charging the U.S. government to do that. Yes,
what? I'm surprised the U.S. government agreed. If that's the case,
they were charging. Exactly. They were caught doing that. Like. And the fact that they hid this, it wasn't like they knew for like a couple years. They knew this for a decade. Like they were doing their own research and hid it from the players. That's why it would look so bad. Mind you, at this point, you just don't want anything to give the players any ammunition. Because think about it now. The fact that the NFL Players Association doesn't even have guaranteed contracts for its players is crazy. You know, all these things. So there's a lot of ancillary things that kind of keep that the NFL has to be paid attention to all the time.
So I hear you on that, and I don't disagree with you on that. Here's my thing, though. We have instant replay. So if I remember the hit correctly, because I ain't watched it in a couple days.
I just watched the hit.
If I remember
it looked
the hit,
nasty as hell, bro.
In real time.
His back was like this.
Yeah,
his back almost touched his ass. Like his head almost touched his ass.
Okay. Right. So here's my
catch,
thing.
By the way.
So now that you show that, because I was about to say, because that's where I was about to go into. So now that we've all seen it, here's the only reason why I have a problem with the suspension. Can either of y'all tell me how he should have stopped?
Exactly.
It wasn't intentional. It wasn't intentional.
Daddy.
So
thank you.
How should he have stopped?
I'm actually with you. I'm actually with both of y'all, to be honest.
Boys be running, bro. Like how bang them plays be, bro. Mm-hmm. Like, what do you expect them to do? Because at the end of the day, Kazee is trying to feed his family too.
And then also too, if you watch the video and you watch the angle, this man was not prepared for Michael Pittman to leave his feet. Mm-mm. That man was coming to his chest. Tom Brady said it best, and
I'm about to say Brady said it.
The NFL.
Brady said it perfectly.
This is probably the one time.
You might have
shout out Hellfire. This is probably the one time the NFL is not going to listen to Tom Brady on something, because yes, that's a bad throw. Michael Pittman, I get you was trying to sell out for your team. Shout out to you, gang.
Thank God he walked off.
What is the defensive player supposed to do? If I'm running full speed because I see you and you running straight and all of a sudden you dive, how am I supposed to change my body angle? Like, I don't think people understand. Like, these dudes is running. Like, I'm not trying to exaggerate. I promise you I'm not trying to exaggerate.
I want
if you race them against the car, bro, if a car and a player were driving and the car was running and the player was running as fast as he can, the car would be even with him at like 20 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So 20 miles. So, and if you get hit by a car at 20 miles an hour, I get it. Because you're still going to get injured. But imagine if a car is going 20 miles an hour and a player going 20 miles an hour. A car can't just all of a sudden change his direction. Neither can a player. They can't just all of a sudden, like, even when a car slams its brakes, it takes a minute before it comes to a complete stop.
Duke, you can't say that. You don't know. It's easy to say that because you haven't done it. Like you say, he would have caught if he didn't do that. He would have caught it and got touched. You don't know. Kazee supposed to think about that in a snap decision?
That's not the problem. I don't care about the play at that point.
That's crazy.
There's nothing that defensive player could have done to stop in that, or even if he would have tried to slow up, they still would have collided.
I think we're trying to do the suspensions.
My thing with the
Yeah,
conversation.
to suspend him for the season for that, for something.
Yeah, you have to look at the intention.
For the
You have to look
season?
at the,
Is it
you have to
Yeah,
look at
for the
the-
rest of
out.
the season. He's out for the rest of the season.
That's the problem.
Okay,
You have to look at the
so-
intent. The intent wasn't there to hurt the guy. He was clearly making a play on the ball. He didn't realize he was going to dive and catch when you're going at that speed. So I don't think the intention was never to hit his head. He was going to roundabout at his waist, something along those lines. But because he dove for the ball, his head is right there. He ends up tackling it. He ends up having that helmet-to-helmet contact, whatever the case may be. But I don't think the intent was ever there. Like 100%, there's no way he intended to hit the guy in the head.
Because there
Well,
was.
this
I
is what
remember-
I'll say. This is what I'll say here. For me, when I'm looking at the play, because it is a nasty hit. Like we all understand, that was a nasty hit. Considering the situation, his body was in the air and his head went backwards
His
to
head almost touched
his
ass,
back,
man.
right?
It's fucking crazy.
So I don't think he should be suspended from the situation because I agree that it's very difficult to adjust in that situation, especially when you're trying to make a play specifically. But I will also say one of two things. I would say first, I don't know what the intent is, because if the intent is to stop the play at any means possible, that's still not a good reason not to get suspended. And two, yes, when a player is going full speed, it's hard to adjust. But I will say, doesn't mean it's impossible to adjust. Like in the situation when he is diving in that circumstance, I would have been like, for me, my point of view is you might have to give it up, because we know for like quarterbacks all the time, the quarterbacks they be trying to slide right in front of you last second. You just got to let him have it. You just got to let him have it, because you don't want to kill him in that situation.
No.
And in
you're
this
right.
situation, and especially since he dives, he catches it. It is what it is. You touch him, he's down.
But
That's what I would say. That he
but
could have done something else.
Here is the only problem I have with what you said. Because yes, there are technically times you're just supposed to let him have it. There are times you can adjust. This one wasn't one of them cases. Doesn't deserve a seed lock. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of the flags they throw, a lot of them are, what else do you want him to do? There are a couple slides where I'm like, yeah, bro, you could have stopped. There are also a couple slides where they wait to the last possible millisecond. They not even down yet, and they throw in the flag. Because that's the deal. Ever since Tom Brady tore his ACL in 2008, they have made sure
that was a business decision, by the way. That was a business decision to make that play, because Tom Brady, obviously coming off the incredible season that he had, but that was a business decision. Because, dear God, what if it happens like that one year where Mahomes gets hurt?
Oh my goodness, bro! I'm not gonna tell you the amount of rules they would change if Patrick Mahomes ever got a season-ending injury to start the year.
Remember, people were saying they should ban the QB sneak when he moved his patella or his knee, like his knee dislocated, and people were saying they should ban the QB sneak because of that. He's the one who dislocated his knee. Like that's it was a freak accident, and they were like, "Oh, you should ban QB sneaks anymore." I was like, "Come on, bro! Like you can't." The defense is already at such a disadvantage, and I'm a receiver. I understand they're already at such a disadvantage. You cannot penalize them for the mistakes that the offense makes. You can't do that.
All I'm gonna say, if we walk down this rabbit hole where we start saying like, oh yeah, it would have been hard for him to change his trajectory and stuff, we never know who Ed Reed is. We never know who B. Dawkins is. We never know who Ray Lewis is. We never know who these guys are. If even Ed Reed even said it, what was it, like 3-4 years back? Ed Reed said, "I'll be broke." He said, "I would be broke if I played in today's generation." Ed Reed said this. He said, "I literally would go broke. I would be playing for free out there because of he knows how he hits, how fast the game is, and honestly, bro, like yes, they are freakish athletes, but bro, that would take so much focus, so much body control to just torque my body to just punch the ball out instead of hitting them, bro. Like I don't know. It's
no, Bama.
To me. I feel like these type of rules ruined 2009 Saints. Like those dudes, even though you could say, "Oh, Bounty Gate was bad," they wasn't tearing ACLs or whatever the case may be. They was just putting a lick on you. You know what I'm saying? And to me,
Brett Favre's the one who started running around. Yeah,
yeah.
He's the one that started running around and got himself caught. That's what happened with him.
Yeah, I like football, like when it was like that.
I'm with you, Bama. I'm like kind of indifferent. I wouldn't. I don't even know if I like this version of football versus the one that hits more. I'm kind of indifferent in that conversation. But It is kind of getting a little disgusting nowadays, especially like the stuff you mentioned, but also on the offensive end. You see how many fines that running backs are getting after like a routine trucking the DB, and it's like, oh, this is unnecessary. $10,000 fine. I'm like, there's
I've
no way
never
that's
seen
actually
that.
But hey,
That's
it's
no way
bullshit
that's
though.
actually happening.
But look, check me out. Well, y'all just talked about Deshaun Kazee. When Zeke did him like that in the end zone when he played for the Falcons and gave him a concussion, he was out for the next 2 weeks. Y'all remember when the Falcons was playing the Cowboys? Zeke, it was like a 1 yard run. Zeke trucked him so hard he slid like 2 yards back. Kazee was out with a concussion for the next 2 weeks after that, and it was helmet to helmet. It's like what Random said. The defense literally wins nowhere now. Like if I hit you helmet to helmet and make you fall on offense, I get fined. But if you do it to me, if Random does it to me now, which Random, you could be honest. I play offense, you play offense. When we put our head down, even Coach said, put your head down, get extra fight for extra yards. When we put our head down, bro, it's helmet to helmet. I don't care.
Oh, every single time.
Every time, bro, I play
Every
running
time.
back. I'm not trying to fit up with my shoulder pads. Of course, you want to be, bro. It's helmet to helmet, bro. It is like it's just straight up, and we don't get flagged for it. And it's just like, damn, bro. I kind of feel sorry. I don't care because I'm on offense. Boo hoo, cry me a river. Like, yeah, you should have played offense. You should have had hands, pussy. But oh well. I just feel like these boys don't win nowhere when you call calls like that, bro. I get it, the egregious stuff. Because Brandon Merriweather, I see a lot of Brandon Merriweathers in his chat, and yes, he did used to hit, but he had some stuff where he'll literally jump into your head.
He was jumping into dudes' heads. It was so bad. Bill Belichick was like, I think he did it one time against the Giants, and Bill Belichick started cussing him out. I was like, bro, what are you doing? And like literally benched him. So there are people who are on the other side of the rule, but even with Kazee, he's going to appeal. He's appealing suspension. They're going to say no.
But they're not going to give it to him.
The NFL's going to look at him and say, why are you even here? Go back home.
Is it just that one play is the suspension, or is it like a collection of stuff? Because that one play for a season-long suspension is crazy.
I'm going to read the.
They said it's a collection of stuff, but I think that one hit was just like a straw.
Yeah,
it was so crazy.
Because in real time, it looks bad. When you look at it on replay, it's like, bro, what is this man supposed to do, bro? Like,
I will say, if Michael Pittman had like a really, really bad injury from it, like it would have been no brainer. He would have been out for the season. It might have been out for longer, honestly.
We hit our 2
hours. Always tricky with those.
He's been fined $11,000 for the last 4 straight weeks.
Total or per game?
Per game.
Per game, 11,000.
Yeah, like on against the Rams on the 27th, he used a helmet-to-helmet contact.
Well, I think
on the 3rd against Jacksonville, he had a defensive receiver. And then again against Jacksonville, he used helmet-to-helmet. So he got fined twice for the Jacksonville game, and then one more against a defensive receiver against Cincinnati, and then the one that he got for what he did against.
Okay, so look,
that's not.
That one. See the one that you just so the first one that you showed, Riddell. Yeah, the first one, that's bad because he's already wrapped up. You don't have to come in with your head. Oh, what's it called? Yeah, that one was bad because it's like, bro, he's already like, come on, you don't need to come in with your head on that one.
So, it looks like it's apparently because he keeps on doing it. I guess.
Yeah, so if you want to do collection and stuff, fine. But a lot of the fines that people get, like
Jalen, you a Lakers fan?
Hell no, I ain't no Lakers fan. We are LeBron fan. The GOAT.
The LeBron stand.
The stand.
You don't remember, Bama? He's the one who said LeBron is the reason we started watching ESPN and stuff or whatever.
That's also lies.
Hold on. The logic was, no, LeBron is part of the reason why sports debate talk really blew up. 100%. For the past 20 years, it's literally been LeBron versus whoever. LeBron versus the legacy of every other player. LeBron versus Jordan. If LeBron James coughs or sneezes, if LeBron James coughs or sneezes, it's a story on ESPN. People would talk about it.
I think it's a story for Skip Bayless, not ESPN.
I'll be sure.
All right. With that,
we don't have to go down that rabbit hole.
Closing remarks, man. What's up? Talk to us, G baby.
Hey, man. Saints, you better win. You guys are making me really upset, but look, if we're not gonna get a top 10 pick, you might as well just win the division. And who knows? Maybe, just maybe, we can hope that the Cowboys sail and we can get a playoff win. Maybe, who knows? I'll take it. So that's what I got.
Yeah, man. Most dangerous matchup in the playoffs right now: is the Rams. Nobody wants to play them.
It's the Bills, but yeah.
I mean, the Bills not in the playoffs. They got to keep winning. Shout out to
crazy.
the Bills,
The Bills decide a lot of people's playoff lives with these last.
If Bills lose one game, they're out of the playoffs. Like they just got to keep winning. It's
because the Bengals keep winning. You right?
Yeah, it's kind of tough for the Bills.
Damn, bro, I'm not gonna lie. Yo, everybody keeps saying the AFC is mid. I'm not gonna lie. This AFC might cook. Like we might get some great games out these boys.
Shout out Shane Steichen, Jake Browning, and Joe Flacco. Playoffs. Come on. Playoff quarterbacks.
Yo, I know DeMar Hamlin's probably gonna win comeback player of the year, but go ahead and give Joe Flacco. Go ahead and give Joe Flacco.
I don't want. Is it bad for me to say I don't want him to win the award?
The minute he entered the game and got a tackle,
I know.
You can't beat death. You can't beat almost dying.
I know you can't, but like, does that man still play?
He's a liability.
I don't know if he played a snap after that. No.
To be honest, he's on the team. He's on the team, but he's a liability in terms of probably legally, because even Dominique Foxworth said this on Dan Le Batard's show. Like, if I'm the Bengals or if I'm the Bills, I'm never going to play that guy again for me. Somebody else can, but I'm not.
Also, he's not good enough at the end of the day to play.
So it's like, come on. I get you can't beat death, but come on.
The minute he stepped on the field and got a tackle, that trophy was sent to his crib.
I just feel like if Gino can come back.
Also, is Gino cooked? Is Gino cooked?
Hold on. Let Jalen give his closing remarks.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Closing remarks. I'm still gonna believe in the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes is still the best football player in the NFL.
We hear. Yep.
When it comes to the playoffs,
if Tony has anything to say about it,
yeah, Tony, he's gonna hurt him. But I just think in the playoffs, they're probably just gonna keen in on getting the ball to Travis Kelce more. And I mean, wait, Tony's been in the league now for a couple years, right? He's been in the league now for a few years.
This is his third year.
Yeah, like I've seen for the past couple years, he hasn't been this bad in terms of drops. But I haven't seen it this bad. Like something's going on in his head, or whatever the case may be, or maybe just playing in the Chiefs, playing with Mahomes, it's magnified. But I just don't think he can continue to be this bad with these key drops. You know what I mean? Like we're talking key, timely drops. Like it's safe.
I don't want to risk it, Jalen. I don't want to risk it.
I hear you. I just don't know if that's sustainable for him to keep having these key drops. So we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. That's another show, man. See y'all later on with Gridiron. More nasty takes. But yeah, we out.
WG baby, man. Way to show up, man.